my calculations are correct, when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious
It has begun!
Calm down, Doctor. Now is not the time for fear.
Trying to misbehave.
Give them nothing, but take from them everything!
Program complete. Enter when ready.
Greetings once again, my friends, and welcome back to Geek News Reviews and Opinions, the podcast where we talk the week's events in Geek for Friday night, December 1st, 2023. I'm your host, Adam Mickelson, aka Drac. I hope everybody's having an awesome day or night when you're listening to this. And joining me is my usual cavalcade of fellow geeks, fellow awesome guys in general. First off, starting with Brenton Volley. Brenton, I know that it's always darkest just before the dawn. Can you see the light at the end of the tunnel for the end of your first semester?
Ask me that question again on Monday.
All right, cool. I will literally hold off on editing this recording just so that I can then call you up and ask, can you see the light at the end of the tunnel?
Oh my god, please do. No, I have all I have left to do is two finals, and then I have 5 weeks of catching up on video games.
Yay! Well, I mean, at least you got Tears of the Kingdom out of the way. I haven't even done that.
Oh yeah, I got that one done as quickly as I possibly could, while also still giving it the proper attention that it deserved.
And also joining us tonight is the Shadow Blazer, who is now scalding me from the Shadow Realm. I don't know why, because, I mean, you've had your adequate amount of victims for the particular week. I mean, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Battle City preliminaries gave you plenty, didn't it, Alex?
There's always more. The Shadow Realm craves more.
I mean, I could make a WoW joke, but Alex wouldn't get it.
Oh my god. That was a beautiful response.
Oh my gosh. So yes, the shadows are an endless maw is basically what Alex is saying, and they will always want more. So that being said, it's time for us to put November in the books. I am so happy that we are finally about ready to just put the rest of the year in the books. And this time around, we actually are going to be doing something new and interesting for December and January, which makes them infinitely easier to create and also be able to set up. And we are basically going to put this year's news, unless something monumental happens, on the back burner, because we're basically going to wrap up 2023, and then we're going to talk about what we're looking forward to in 2024. So at that point, let's go ahead and, first of all, get into what we have been playing and what we have been watching. And I'm going to go ahead and answer for Brenton because it's textbooks.
Actually, I've been weaving in some World of Warcraft.
Yes, you have.
But in regards to reading, it really has just been school-related items.
Right. No, I completely agree with that, because at this point, I mean, we're at that point in a semester where everything just kind of grinds up to finals. And so at that point, like, your focus has to be there. And then at that point, you get to look forward to breathing that sigh of relief and going and playing a bunch of games, catching up on movies, or doing whatever. Yay. But yeah, I've actually seen you, like, here and there. You've been on your little dwarf and you've just been going level crazy. It's been great.
Yeah, I'm halfway to 60, so I'm happy
exactly.
with that.
There you go. Alex the Shadow Blazer, what have you been playing, watching? What do you want to highlight?
In terms of playing, nothing really. Sad to say.
It's almost like you have a job or something.
Yeah, I have a job, so I tend to throw more of my time. When I get free time, I tend to throw a lot more towards anime.
Yes.
My first love. But yes. So I've been watching some anime, of course. I've already mentioned I'm still keeping up with the fall roster of the few shows that I'm watching, so those have been going on steady. And started rewatching a couple of slightly older shows. Actually, not that old. One's from this year, one's from 2016, but
So it's just a
who's really
previous
counting,
season
right?
this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, so a couple rewatches plus the new stuff I've been watching.
Right.
So there you go.
For me, I hate to be the guy for a lot of people, but I've been playing a lot of WoW, primarily because I've actually been trying to get questing with Drac underway. And for those who don't know, by the time we're recording this, the first video is up and the second video is uploading as we speak. So at that point, that should be ready to go by next week. And I'm happy about that because I thought Black Friday would just destroy me as far as any kind of upload schedule. But I've been able to maintain it. I don't know why. We'll see if that continues to be a trend. But as far as stuff I've been playing aside from WoW, this is going to sound really dumb, but I've been playing nothing but Tetris clones and shoot 'em ups. Why? Because I just can't handle anything that requires like more than 10% of my brain power. That's literally the reason, people. I'm like playing Gradius to decompress at the end of the day. And I'm playing Pokemon Puzzle League to decompress at the end of the day. And
I love
also
that.
because I've had to sit with a heat pad because for those who know this, for those who don't, or they're just gonna be like, oh, look, a podcaster complaining about stuff. For some reason, when we transition to fall and from fall to winter and it starts getting really cold, my neck decides to basically take all the nerves in my neck and just pinch them all at the same time. And so at that point, I'm kind of stuck behind in front of a heat pad, just to try and make sure that I can bend my neck in the proper ways and be able to do my job. So a lot of it has just been, I've been playing Pokemon Puzzle League while sitting on a heat pad because my neck is freaking killing me. So at that point, if people want to get on my case, that's totally fine. And I have nothing against you. But thankfully, though, it's going to be a little bit more productive once we get to the December podcast, because then I don't have to worry about, are there going to be any appropriate stories? I can focus on other things, like putting 2023 in the back burner. So how about let's put November in the back burner, shall we, boys and girls? So this is the top story tonight, simply because so many people caught the after effect or the aftershock of this happening. And so at that point, everybody's like, you have to talk about this. Oh my gosh, the video game industry is in utter peril. So in case people don't know, the chief marketing officer of Take-Two Interactive is the publisher for Rockstar Games, aka when you see those shiny boxes of GTA 5 or GTA 6 or Red Dead Redemption 2, they are the guys that are putting it out. They were also the people that decided to preach to you at E3 the previous year. This is why we don't have E3 anymore. We can't have night. And what happened during this press conference that got the internet freaking out to such an nth degree? Well, the chief marketing officer, the CMO, was asked how much he thought GTA 6 should be. So for those who don't know, GTA is Grand Theft Auto. We've talked about it a couple of times in these podcasts because there's been rumors about how much it's actually cost to make, as well as whether or not it's going to come with a heftier price tag because the fact it's costing so much to make. And it just so happens that this guy decided to open up his noise hole and said, I can't quote it because it drives me insane, but basically he said how he would like for video games to become an actual service that you have to pay for. And by that, I mean, he actually said that it would actually be more worthwhile for people, for Rockstar to charge people by the hour that they play GTA 6. Now, obviously, I should point this out. You get the first hour free, obviously, every day. But then the other 23 hours, yeah, you got to pay. And everybody has had a range on this because he didn't actually elaborate on like how much he thought people should pay per hour to play GTA 6. So a lot of people have just guessed like, oh, well, he's just going to ask us to pay $10 an hour or $15 an hour. And then a lot of other people have gone, oh my gosh, he's going to make us pay $60 to $70 an hour to play this game. And of course, when some idiot in the gaming industry media or the gaming journalism sphere asks something like that and gets the response that they got, what do you think happens, boys and girls? Of course, they reach out to other prominent figures within the gaming industry to see whether or not they agree to this. So, of course, all of the other AAA industry, all the AAA companies got asked to some extent. Thankfully, the only one that I saw was smart enough not to say anything was Uncle Phil, believe it or not.
Wow, good on
but
him.
then we also had the chief marketing officer for EA chime in, saying that that was a great idea. Then we had a rep over at Bethesda, thankfully not Todd Howard, who was saying that yes, that would actually be more worth it because of how strapped for cash the video game industry actually is. It's not as strapped for cash as you might think it is. Then on top of that, we also had to get somebody over at Activision saying that there's no way that we can make it work, but man, wouldn't it be great if it could. So, of course, that sent all of internet social media forums ablaze, thinking it's the end of the video games industry because they're now going to charge us per hour. Everything's going to be World of Warcraft on steroids. This is the moment where I'm going to interject some logic into this. I am going to be Spock in this situation. If they did that, the AAA gaming industry would be over within like 6 months. Okay? So this is talking specifically off the cuff. And what I mean is literally out of your pants. There's no way that they could pull this off. No, this is not happening. But that being said, Alex, I cut you off.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you didn't see the message I put, but this isn't a story. This didn't happen. I don't know where you're getting all this from.
Mainly because of the internet itself.
It's not a real story. Nobody said this. I've looked. I've done the digging. I've looked through various different stories.
Well, then it took fire on its own.
It was the CEO, first of all, not the CEO.
Oh, because everything I read was the CFO or the CM.
And never, at no point in any quote did he ever say we should start charging people by the hour. This never happened. I don't know how the story took off, and I don't know where people got that quote from. But if you actually go through and read the quote, I can pull it up. I had the Forbes article here.
This was the other problem, trying to get an actual article that doesn't like go, please be a subscriber to our service now.
Yeah, I know. So many of these tend to be locked behind paywalls. It's frustrating. Okay. So here was an update posted back November 17th. Take-Two wanted to clear up that Strauss Zelnick, the CEO of Take-Two, not suggesting, even theoretically, that games should be priced at $1 per hour value.
Mm-hmm.
The idea was the metric as a broader contrasting point against other media. So a game like Grand Theft Auto would have a lot of value for its price, compared to movies. So here's the actual quote of what the CEO said. Quote, and I'm reading this verbatim from the Forbes art, and it's posted on Forbes. You can Google it, people. Yes, I mean, and again, this is a quote. Yes, I mean, you don't want to generalize too much from what's going on in a linear entertainment because the increase in subscription pricing and linear entertainment is really a reflection of the fact too many streaming services were underpricing to acquire customers. Then they realized that the customers were not durable. The LTVs were upside down. So they were basically adjusting their price to make sure the LTVs are potentially positive. And I think there's still more pain to come for that service. I can wax eloquent if you want, although it has nothing to do with our
Wait,
business.
wait.
in terms of
Are you
pricing.
telling me that the internet blew things out of proportion?
Blew things out of proportion, and I don't know, maybe they took the whole streaming comparison and ran with that. But let me continue. Let me finish
Yeah,
this real
you're
fast.
you're good.
Yeah. Continuing on in the quote here, in terms of pricing for any entertainment property, basically the algorithm is a value of the expected entertainment usage, which is to say that the per hour value times the number of expected hours plus the terminal value that's perceived by the customer in ownership if the title is owned or subscribed to. So this is probably where people kind of got confused. They read that and misconstrued it to be that he's saying we should start charging per hour, but he doesn't say that. He's just saying, like everything else I've said already in this quote, anyway. Anyway, continuing on, and you'll see that bears out in every kind of entertainment vehicle. By that standard, our frontline prices are still very, very low because we offer many hours of engagement. The value of engagement is very high, so I think the industry as a whole offers a terrific price to value opportunity for consumers. That doesn't necessarily mean the industry has pricing power or wants to have pricing power. However, there is a great deal of value offered. And look, it's our strategy here to deliver as much more value than what we charge consumers. It's always been our strategy here. We want to make sure the experience is first class, and the nature of the experience is not just the quality of what we offer, it's also what you pay for it. Everyone knows that anecdotally, so that's how we look at it. End quote.
So let me bounce a few things off of you, Alex.
Mm-hmm.
As we've just basically proven, the internet blew things out of proportion.
Very much
Okay.
so.
What would happen if Strauss Zelnick actually said what I stated? What do you think the consequence would be for him creating such a press-based firestorm?
Well, I think we would have seen probably a stock dip, maybe a stock rise. Sometimes the market.
Is it safe to say we would see his resignation within 12 to 24 hours?
Potentially, or the board of directors might call for his resignation,
Or straight up fire him?
Yeah, it just depends a lot. I don't know how Take-Two as a business works. I don't know how their corporate structure is, but yeah, it's certainly possible he could have, if he truly created a whole massive storm like that. Either yes, the stock, like I said, the stock could have gone up or down dramatically.
Yeah.
The board could have reprimanded him, fire him, or censure him, or just
Now,
demand him to walk back his statement.
if this is happening, and people are seeing that this is happening, like some kind of penalty is happening to him, do you think that the gaming press would be able to get quotes from Bethesda, EA, Activision, Capcom, Nintendo? Let's throw them into the monkey wrench here. Or do you think those companies would shut everything down?
I have no idea.
I honestly think that they'd be like, don't talk to press right now. Do not talk to press.
Yeah, probably they would try to take time to say to.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they would lock them all in. You know, I'm saying basically they would look at everybody going, press is going to try and talk to you, and they're going to try and butter you up to get information. You are not to talk to them.
Yeah, and they probably want to try to take the time to craft a proper PR statement.
Yes.
In response to this.
Yes. So that being said, that's exactly what happened, people. I am exactly with Alex on this. It doesn't exist. I'm bringing this up because you guys did. Sometimes, guys, you just let the internet say the sky is falling and you walk away, is all I'm saying. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it really is. This is.
This is the era we live in, people. We are all Chicken Little. Like it's
we are.
It's starting to drive me a little insane, enough to a point where I'm about ready to say, you know, there needs to be some kind of legislation where you're not allowed to be online for more than a certain amount of hours a day, because there are just some people who cannot live. If you actually told them they had to go and spend 2 hours outside, they would go, "What?"
It's like the ending of Ready Player One.
Ready Player One, or I mean the other comparison is Idiocracy comes to mind.
Yeah, I mean, to that, but I think this is also just a reason why we need better media literacy, right? In terms of our general education from K through 12. It's really getting to the point where this media literacy needs to be much more focused on and much more.
Well, I remember having this debate with a lot of people. One of which was, and him and me have still had it. And we were both kind of on the same wavelength, but we had media students that did not understand this, where people were taking Wikipedia as gospel, and guys, it's not. Or taking Reddit or Twitter as gospel, and good God, no. And immediately saying that this is going to be how the gaming industry is from here on in. But then again, these are also the same people who were screaming the second that Walmart and Target basically said that they weren't going to have physical copies of games anymore. Spoiler alert, they still kind of do. They're just in the back. And immediately going, this is the end of physical media as we know it. Your game shelves will be nothing but tumbleweeds. And frankly, that might be true 3 years from now. It's not true now. And it's probably not going to be true even in 3 years, maybe 5. But this is just one of those times where I like to tell people, just calm down. Let's think about this rationally. If Strauss Zelnick or Uncle Phil or Bobby Kotick had actually said this, they'd basically be writing their career death sentence. And they know that. And so that's why they wouldn't say it. So at that point, I know that some people wanted us to have the discussion of whether or not it is a good idea to have games priced at a per hour value. I mean, what else can I say about it than bad? It wouldn't work. It absolutely would destroy AAA gaming, because indie game developers wouldn't do this. There's no way they could even do this. A lot of people don't even want to consider that in order to implement this, there's a considerable amount of server infrastructure and probably even better server tech that needs to be implemented here in order to be able to do anything resembling it. And that shit's expensive to maintain. As much as people want to say that Blizzard got rich from WoW subscription fees, look, they get a lot of money from that, but they also pay out a lot of money to maintain the servers, to maintain the infrastructure, to maintain all of the things and keep them running like they're spick and span and brand new. And then they get whatever profit comes out of that kind of thing. But it's a lot of money to maintain this stuff. Hence why you have seen over the last few years, MMOs making drastic decisions on, for example, with WoW, they've been shutting down servers left and right and merging them together. For the Old Republic, they basically said, yeah, we're not really getting multiplayer use out of our game, so we'll just make it strictly a single player experience. Even FF14 has had to implement some new changes that, because I believe when they were initially looking at it, I'm not talking about Realm Reborn, but the original infrastructure was trying to do something similar to World of Warcraft, and then realizing, oh yeah, that's actually fucking expensive, and we can't do that. We need to find a different way to do it. So there's no way that any of this is even remotely viable. So I'm thoroughly convinced, Alex, that we have exploded Brinton's brain. Should we check?
No, I'm still here. No, I'm definitely here. I'm just listening.
Yeah, for those who are weirded out by basically what I did, I basically played all the people who are just like, you gotta talk about this. It's okay. It's okay. The sky's not falling. Your wallet is not going to be on fire. It's totally fine. The gaming industry would not do something as self-destroying as this.
Right. Well, you did read that bloody straight, I gotta say. So.
I just tried. Like, I know that a lot of people are going to construe it however they want to, but just for a second, take the headline into account, so the headline that I got is from The Gamer. I think Forbes had something similar to this. GTA 6 publisher says games should be priced based on length. Literally, the next headline you should read is Strauss Zelnick suddenly fired for no explicable reason.
And that's why it's important to read beyond the headline.
This is like what would happen if this was read on The Daily Show, is what I just described. And in other news, Strauss Zelnick literally got kicked out of his office that day. And so at that point, it's so ridiculous that it's not even plausible that it happened.
So Forbes, assuming they didn't rewrite the headline here, just I'm going with the article I have.
Yeah, I like how they constructed it, actually, when I wasn't being pelted for joining their newsletter. I like how they constructed it because they showed the facts, they showed what people are construing this out of, and then I believe at the end of the article, remind me if I'm saying this wrong, they did kind of do a what if. What if this actually happened and how unsustainable it is.
No, it's just a pretty straight interview with him. But again, I don't know because this is an updated article, obviously. But their headline is as it is now, anyway. Assuming again, I don't know if they've made any changes from it since its first publication. But GTA 6 publisher on the value of games in dollar per hour measurement.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
not quite as alarmist as
but
you put in.
Does still have those red flags within it. But I will give them credit. It's a lot more objective with it.
Yeah. So again, I can see where people might have taken a few ideas and out of context and maybe ran with it. But again, this is why it's really important to read beyond the headline and really read the articles very carefully, and why we need better media literacy. But when I first heard it, I also didn't think how would you make an hourly rate work, right? Unless we go to the old dial-up.
Blizzard has enough trouble trying to make a monthly rate work.
Yeah. So my other thought of it was maybe not so much they want to try it hourly, but maybe scale a game's pricing based on its overall length.
Yeah.
I don't know, say Tears of the Kingdom is probably if you were to try 100% that game, that's probably 200 hours, right?
In your head, just think about Tears of the Kingdom running on this. Instant fail.
Yeah, that would be that'd be horrifying to think of a 200-hour or even
that's not even playing for
game.
those who play Genshin, because I've heard that these people exist, and I know gacha games can be exploited like this, where people who play Genshin just play for the allotted time or for the allotted amount of stuff that they can do, and then they're just done for the day. And so at that point, the gacha companies don't get money out of it because you're just basically living on their currency.
They go for the whales. Yeah. That's really where their money comes from. Yeah. But so my thought was maybe it wouldn't be an actual clock, an actual timer, tracking your minutes as much as it's based on the overall length of the game, which in itself is also kind of a bad idea because that's easily exploitable too by developers. But again, right, as we've already said here, nothing right now suggests anything like that. And I don't think the industry I wouldn't put it past the industry for trying that much. But right now, nothing suggests something like that, or the whole pay per hour is going to be a thing.
There is a possibility that the industry would try it. But here's the thing, is their deal would not be this. It would not be the CMO or the CEO or the CFO or the CDO or the 3DO 3D coming out and saying it. It'd be random employee says this might be what you have to do. And it would basically be the equivalent of putting feelers out to see whether or not it would work that way, because modern day companies don't work overtly like that. They work a lot more subtly. Brinson, your thought on this whole thing, on everything that we have described here.
I think the only thing that I could really add is my I don't think that this would work either. I agree a lot I agree with a lot of the things which you guys have already stated. I feel that it would just completely destroy the gaming industry if this model were to suddenly be adopted.
Absolutely.
Because then one of the things, and I was talking about this with one of my colleagues actually the other day, the whole concept of stop releasing unfinished games. If I'm going to now be paying a monetary value per hour to play this game, it better be so undeniably polished and completed that it's completely undeniably worth that monetary amount per hour after you've already purchased the game.
Let me put out an example here really quick, okay? Let's just say, for the sake of argument, this was implemented in Fallout 76, because this would be the perfect example for that. Bethesda immediately comes out and says, we've got a revolutionary way to be able to do this. You pay per hour. Fallout 76 came out in 2018. The video games industry would not have survived COVID.
Definitely not.
No. Because, and Bethesda would be forever known as the company that killed the gaming industry. That's how unlikely this whole prospect actually is. But I do find it funny if you had a game as broken as Fallout 76 as a per-hour service. Whew. I mean, would anybody survive the riot that would come for Bethesda? Pretty sure they wouldn't. Baggate would be the least of their problems. Jiminy Christmas. Sorry, go ahead, Brinson.
No, that's it. That's really all I have. Like, that's really all I feel that I can add beyond what it is that you guys have already stated. And if I were to say any more, I think it really would be, I think it would be really interesting to look into how media literacy could be implemented and taught, because there are generations to consider. There are multiple generations.
Let me go ahead and tell you to
interact
start
with the-
over. Goddamn video game ad or video game website ads. I was trying to bring other stuff up and it interrupted you. So go ahead, Brinson. You can start over.
No, you're fine. I would say it would be interesting to see how to implement something like media literacy into our community, because there are a lot of different generations that interact with the internet as a whole. So teaching that amongst large styles of learning, especially generations that are extraordinarily stubborn and and just set in their ways, I think it would be difficult, however interesting to at least approach, develop, and attempt. I'm not completely against the idea. I'm just curious on, like, it would just be interesting to see how it could be implemented successfully, because there are a fair amount of people who do get completely overwhelmed or misled by clickbait articles, and not everybody, as it's been suggested tonight, is going to read past those article headlines. And it doesn't even have to be for things of like, it doesn't have to be in regards to things that we talk about on the show. I can't tell you how many people who engage with their own interests don't read past their own articles, article headlines, and then start talking about things that are so completely invalid, not true, not full information. And I'm speaking in particular to a certain generation that's set in their ways.
What are you trying to say there, youngin? Now you just go over there and get off my lawn.
Adam, you're not a boomer.
I'm close, actually. I'm really close.
Yeah, but you don't act like a boomer. The point that I'm trying to say is that particular generation, once they hear something once, it's law. They cannot be persuaded otherwise. And so it's like exhausting just to even try to be like, hey, let's try to present information that is true, excuse me, true and correct, because what you're telling me is not. And it's like, you don't know what you're talking about. Especially when somebody tries to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about in regards to things.
See, I don't even
that
think
I
it's
study.
necessarily a generational thing, because I've seen millennials and even some of what is it, Gen Z now is the new one, that are all kind of doing the exact same thing. The only problem is that I think it's more of an individual process, and the reason is because it's individuals that really, when they look at things, are not exercising a lick of common sense when it comes to any of this. And part of that is
it's a cultural thing.
Part of it is cultural. Part of it is also, part of it also is just like they probably don't have that common sense within those venues just yet, and so education would be preferable. But one of the things I find funny about this absolutely is, because you guys both know this at this point, I follow the video game, the movie, the anime rumor mill quite a bit. It's hard to say that that's ever not come across in this podcast, because a lot of the rumors I actually do like. But here's the thing. Before I even bring them here, I'm like triple checking to see if there's even any remote validity on whether or not either A, the story can go that direction, B, it's even applicable to what the rumor says that they're going to do. And I exercise common sense with all of it. That's why in a lot of cases when I come out and say, wow, Sony is in talks with Konami to get their entire gaming library, it's not likely, but why I approach it the way I do is, what if they did that? That would be amazing. That would change the gaming industry quite a bit. But also kind of saying, let's take this with a grain of salt. This is Konami we're talking about, you know? And so at that point, if I'm doing that and you're not, start. All I'm saying. So shall we move on to other things? Because there's not really a whole lot to get into here. It's not happening, guys. Don't worry. Calm down.
Please calm down.
Yes, please calm down. The sky is not falling. I promise. Well, maybe it is in the next game. I don't know. So that being said, let's go ahead and get into the next one, which is, I believe this was an earnings call, it was either an earnings call or a press conference where this actually happened, but Bob Iger had quite a bit to answer for, and actually I'm kind of surprised that he was as transparent as he could have been, because Disney isn't doing so hot. We've talked about this a couple of times this year. Disney hasn't been making good financial decisions, and it's started to bite them in the butt. So much so that most recently the Marvels came out and was a box office flop, at least in Disney's eyes it was. They even started foretelling that it was, just to try and soften the blow. And so Bob Iger, I believe, so this was an interview during the Times annual DealWorks Summit in New York City, where he actually did say the following, that he has acknowledged that the company has been focusing too much on movie messaging and not enough on quality storytelling. Wow. That's a big admission. And I don't know if I 100% believe him that he thinks he knows this, but interesting.
Before we move a little bit forward, could you explain what he means by that? Because
he doesn't even explain it that well.
Okay, because I'm confused. When I read that, I was like, what is he talking about?
So
I mean, yeah, because all he says is we have to entertain first. It's not about messages.
Yeah.
But I would just assume it's kind of
he is 100% CEO. He knows how to do the CEO doublespeak. And that's basically what's being portrayed here, is he's basically saying what's going to appease everybody, but not necessarily deal with the issue. And yeah, the quote is literally this: creators lost sight of what their number one objective needed to be, We have to entertain first. It's not about messages. Which at that point, okay, that's
I mean, a lot of different
that.
things,
Yes,
I
that's the
guess.
problem. It's way too vague. And so at that point, I have no problem saying here, I don't think that he gets that. And the reason that I don't think he gets that is, we're currently reading off of a CNBC article. The other article that we have was from IGN the day before. And basically it's basically his proposal on how to fix things, which is more executive oversight. That was the problem. We didn't have enough executives overseeing our films.
Yeah.
Seriously,
That's
I
going to
really
fix
wish
the
I had a
problem.
Flintstones clip of Fred Flintstone getting hit in the knee by the doctor and foot going right into his mouth. I really wish I had a clip that I could just go to on a soundboard, because that's what this is.
Okay. I got a question for both of you. Either you familiar with the movie called Heaven's Gate?
Familiar with the title? I'm not sure if I've seen it.
Same response.
Okay. Well, long story short, just epic Western film made by a...
God,
by a
sorry,
director
ADD
called
moment.
Oscar
Wouldn't it be
Wynn.
great to have a Western right now?
I got... yeah. Okay. I got a point with this. But yes. Anyway, so it was back in the late 70s. It was an epic Western film made by a director who just won a lot of acclaim because he just won an Oscar for his movie, The Deer Hunter.
Yes.
Michael, shoot, I can't remember his name. Never mind.
What
Anyway,
did you say it was?
so-
Heaven's Gate?
Yeah, the movie's called Heaven's
Okay.
Gate. Not to be confused with the cult, but anyway. So, movie made in the late 70s. Director, fresh off of an Oscar win, a very successful film at that. And so the studio, United Artists, I believe, handed him up basically a blank check and told him to make this movie. He went way over budget, way over schedule. The movie was super long, got pretty bad reception. They had to pull it from theaters, re-release it with a new cut to get better reception for that, and the movie still lost a lot of money. And basically, it kind of killed the sort of auteur period, if you will, of Hollywood at that point in the 70s when directors like Steven Spielberg or George Lucas or Francis Ford Coppola were kind of rising to their prominence with really kind of interesting and kind of studio-free films. So you can kind of say it's what brought back the studio system in Hollywood.
Yeah.
After that kind of
So the director that you're
director and
looking for
storyteller.
is Michael Cimino, I think is how you say his name.
Yeah, there we go. I knew it was a Michael something, and I was like, I couldn't remember then. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, it's the same damn thing that Iger's kind of getting
Mhm.
at. It's like more executive oversight. That's what's been happening in Hollywood for 50 years now, and it's not really working out that great.
No. Brenton, just to answer your question a little bit more, this is his justification for saying why there needs to be more executive oversight. So this is a quote from the IGN article. With the Marvels in particular, a lot of people don't know this. The Marvels was shot during the pandemic. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of movies.
Yeah, a lot of movies were, but a lot of people thought that because it came out so much later, it was shot like 2 years ago, and that's not the case. So this is the quote. There wasn't as much supervision on set, so to speak, where we have executives that are really looking over what's being done day after day after day. I would say right now, my number one priority is to help the studio turn around creatively. That's the quote. So the reason the Marvels failed was because there wasn't a studio exec on set every day. So his proposal is, let's get a studio exec on set every day. In fact, we don't need one, we need 3. Because that way nobody misses anything.
I
Goodness
have a hard
gracious.
time believing that. Like, nobody sent any of the higher ups the dailies of shooting.
That's
I
that's
just really have a
exactly-
hard time believing.
Sorry, go on, Alex. Sorry.
Just like Marvel, considering how much it's been Disney's cash cow for the last 10, 15 years now, it's like it's hard to truly believe that they haven't been watching the things and kind of supervising things.
Mhm.
At least or at least have a Kevin Feige report to them directly.
Right. So you're telling me that of all the dailies and all of the things that were done in a day, they weren't sent to somebody to get greenlit? That's Bob Iger's justification here. That Kevin Feige just sat there and played with a yarn ball with a string out, like a little cat. That's all he ever did. Are you kidding me? Okay. I only know about this because people have spoiled it for me, but Kevin Feige isn't the way that he was at the season finale of She-Hulk, where he's just an aimless idiot robot. I don't even want to know why they went that direction, but he's not that way. He was definitely doing his job. There was oversight. They had to get things approved because otherwise the budget wouldn't be approved.
I mean, just taking a quick look at IMDb, there's 5 executive producers. Feige is listed as producer, and there's 1 co-producer. So
well, and the funny thing is for the Marvels. Okay, you said there was 5 executive producers. Just as a fun experiment, Alex, go back and look into all of the Marvel movies that have come out in the previous year, all the Star Wars stuff that has come out in the previous year, and count how many executive producers there are. Because I'm guaranteeing you, all of them at minimum have 3.
Oh yeah, let's come out this year.
So, well, I'm saying while you're doing that, and so basically this is Bob Iger's answer to that, which is why I don't believe him in the previous article. If that was it, so I do think that messaging has become the problem, and that creative stories have hit the back burner when it comes to a lot of these movies. You're more interested in telling a political point than you are about telling a good story around a particular character. In fact, the best way that I know how to put it, and I know that some people might get mad at me saying it, but South Park hit it right on the money when they had Kathleen Kennedy, or Cartman as Kathleen Kennedy, basically going around the entire set and screaming, "Put a chick in it and make her gay!" You may not like that he said that, but that's pretty much what's going on. And so at that point, if you understood that, and you understood that creativity needs to come first, how would executive oversight fix that? Because now you would have writers even more constrained, actors even more constrained, because they'd have Big Papa Disney looking down their throat. If somebody could please explain this to me, my brain's exploding. I'm about to go solid Christopher Walken here. Which is funny because he was actually in Heaven's Gate now that I'm looking at the actor list.
Yeah, he was.
See, guys, I can't do a Walken.
So was Willem Dafoe.
And Sam Waterston. Now I actually want to watch this. Sam Waterston's in it? Jeff Bridges is in this? Holy shit. This is a good damn cast.
Yeah, it's very long, so.
Oh, no, I already saw that. The original cut was 228 minutes. Good God, that's almost 4 hours. I almost want to check, was Gettysburg before this? Because I think Gettysburg was the one that killed the 4-hour film. And then this must have come out after that. So, Brinton, with the stuff that's been presented, do you think Bob Iger's smoking crack?
I think he's in over his head.
Yeah, that's putting it one way.
There is something that Disney just did not do right this year, and it's not having executive present during any sort of movie production, whether it be a Marvel movie or a Disney animated film.
Right.
I think that there are a variety of things that could have caused a lot of Disney's failures, or I guess I don't want to say failures, but maybe just more like unsuccesses this year. I think a lot of it has to do with how people talk about certain things on the internet.
Mhm.
I know that when this movie was announced and that they were going to do a Captain Marvel sequel, it immediately, for the last several years, has been received very negatively. Nobody likes Brie Larson. Everybody very much wants her out of that. Well, I'm speaking in
she
general
wants out of that role
terms, of
now.
course. Well, yeah, like she's made it like she has said and done things that have made it very evident that she doesn't even want to do
No.
what she's doing. People didn't even want her to be in the role in the first place. People don't like her.
And what's
like,
funny
the
is
movie was
this
not.
isn't just Brinton pulling this out of their ass. This is other prime cast members of the MCU saying it. For example, even though RDJ doesn't like to be mean about it, he came out openly and said that Brie was not a good fit for the MCU, and she was not a good poster child for it. And she wasn't the only one. Chris Hemsworth said it. Who plays Rhodes? Don Cheadle said it, because they constantly had issues with them with her on the set. So sorry, Brinton, I was just pointing that out. Like, it's corroborated evidence. She did not work.
Yeah, no, you're 100%. Like, and I mean, these are things that we've even talked about in previous months' episodes, or even when we were doing the show weekly as well. So I don't think it was because there was a lack of executive presence on set. I think there was just a lack of common sense and judgment from studio executives. I think that they should have taken a look at what was well received, what was not well received, and then proceeded to make better decisions.
Right.
For example, and I know this is probably, like, I don't know if this was something that was discussed or revealed in November, but the fourth Captain America movie already, there already has been some studio screenings of what has been completed,
and
that movie, yes, that movie is already being received poorly.
Yep.
So I think in some capacity, it could also be people are now done with superhero movies. And I know that.
Well, and also Disney's response to this, I don't know if you noticed it, but because of the bad screenings of Captain America 4, and there was another one in there too that was happening as well for test screenings and was not going well at all. Because of that, they basically delayed everything except for Deadpool 3 to past 2024. The only Marvel movie that is now going to be coming out in 2024 is Deadpool 3. That's it.
Oh my gosh. And that's pretty unheard of.
But that tells me just how boned Disney knows they are right now with what they've come with what they produce.
And honestly, there's a lot of Hollywood has even come forward and they're like, okay, can we move on, please? We've been doing this for over 10 years. I think it's time to call it quits.
Well,
plus,
not only that, but like I can't remember which organization actually said this, but I think they've got a point. Because of their focus on trying to make Star Wars and Marvel work, their other products have suffered because other things that got test screens, like Elemental and the most recent movie Wish, they didn't do well at all either. And a lot of people have speculated that because the focus has been on Marvel and Star Wars, that those guys just kind of fell by the wayside. And so they didn't even get like good writing because they couldn't afford good writing for them.
I actually recently watched Elemental with my husband, and it was okay. Definitely not one of Pixar's best, and I wasn't even sure what kind of a story they were trying to tell.
That's the same thing I've heard about Wish as well.
Yeah, I watched it and I was like, this is like, don't get me wrong, Pixar's animation is even more top notch than ever with this film. Very impressed with animation and what they were able to do with the technology that they have. But what is the point of what I'm watching? Like I see some, like, there were some themes of like discrimination to contrasting elements fell in love, like what I but beyond that, I was like, what are we trying to do here? It wasn't like the love between the water dude and the fire gal suddenly made Elemental City realize, oh, we're a bunch of discriminative assholes. We should probably be a little bit, like, we should probably be more inclusive to the fire people. Like that would have been a cool story. That would have been something cool to have put out on the table. But that wasn't really there. I mean, I understand that the fire girl didn't want to take over her dad's shop because she wanted to do her own thing, but that kind of plot line has been told several times and done better. And obviously,
and done better by
for
Pixar,
Elemental.
by the way.
Yeah, like, and I mean, Pixar has some really good movies, and they definitely have their flops. Like the dinosaur movie, which was just pretty much Lion King, but dinosaurs.
And from what I've been told, everything past Lightyear has just gone progressively down in terms of quality when it comes to story. Animation quality is still up there because it's Pixar, but like writing quality has just gone progressively down.
I'm really hoping that Inside Out 2, which is now the Pixar movie coming out next year instead of Elio, it is good.
I do too, because like I like the unveiling. I'm not sure if I like the overall look of the character, but I like the unveiling of the anxiety character, and immediately it already worried me because people were screaming out, is he bisexual? What are his pronouns? What are all these? I was like, what does this matter? He's an emotion within the head of a little girl and thus everybody else. It's just anxiety.
Yeah, and just as like a side note, like the writers have stated, oh, we're going to be focusing specifically on social anxiety instead of generalized anxiety, and being somebody with that specific diagnosis, I'm even more excited for the film to see how they portray that. But again, I'm just worried because the first Inside Out was so well done. I went and paid full theater ticket prices just to go see that movie 3 times in the theater. I cried every single time. It was so
and on
well
top
done.
of that, like the other thing that I had, and I've had this discussion with a few people, I don't think I've had it with you, but like, I've actually brought this up. Do you need to have a new emotion? Because the whole thing at the end was, what happens when we fuse these emotions together with the memories and see what that provides? And so wouldn't it be cool if anxiety was being created because of the weird fusing that's happening between them, and it's having a weird feedback effect or whatever? Do you need a character for that, or could you just do that through other means? And so at that point, like, I'm not saying that a new character isn't wanted, but you could easily do that in a different way, and I think get the same impression.
Understanding the psychology of it, I think they are going about it correctly.
Yeah, probably.
I'm just curious. I mean, the trailer made it seem like one day everything was fine, or like the teaser, one day everything was fine, and then the following morning, like, boom, there's anxiety. Anxiety doesn't completely work that way. It's something that like gradually develops over time. I don't really believe.
Well, and it also goes with the end of Inside Out, where they have like the newer console and like the expanded functions.
Right, and typically those particular type of like anxiety specifically, there are cases of childhood anxiety. However, based on just based on this fictional family and this fictional upbringing of a fictional little girl, it probably makes more sense that the anxiety is developing as she progresses into puberty, because the body releases all sorts of hormones that just makes everything go insano until you start hitting your 20s.
Yes.
So
I get
mean,
that.
none of y'all need to hear me talk about puberty and how it works.
Well, now we're getting into NPR territory here. But I mean, that's kind of the worry here, is like, because I tend to agree with you. Inside Out was such an amazing film, and in a lot of different ways challenged a lot of things that maybe Disney hadn't really wanted to acknowledge it. It's a weird deal where you kind of saw Disney grow up with Riley in it, because then they realized, oh, we don't have to be so light and chipper all the time. We can actually kind of go into darker tones, as we are doing with some of the other film properties that we have. And the fact that they've gone in such weird directions with movies that have followed has been really disappointing. Enough so that it makes me actually very worried for Inside Out 2, and not really all that interested in going to the theater to go see it. And that's one of the worst things that you could possibly do. Like, a lot of people think that the worst thing a movie can do is encourage or inspire people to not go see it. No, the worst thing that you want to have happen is that your film inspires apathy towards it, because then people don't care.
I think that I'll still go see it. Just my biggest concern is, how are they going to portray all of these different emotions, especially the anxiety, in a way that is powerful but also respectful to those such as myself that live and have to manage those particular emotions and disorders daily.
Right, because at that point, like, there is a certain amount of accuracy that needs to be in it. And if you just start going in really weird directions, which, from what I understand, a lot of the movies, like Big Red and a few others have done, if you just go in a bunch of random directions because, hey, what fun would it be? People are going to go, well, that's not how that works. And the problem is that these are kids' films, and the kids are going to take this as somewhat gospel, and then find out, oh yeah, that's not actually how things work. But so yeah, we're explaining like quite a bit of what is going to be going on with all of this. So wrapping things up, yeah, Bob Iger is full of crap at this point. I have no problem saying it. In fact, I find it funny that my older brother actually said it best, which was, what a douchey thing to say. Because, yeah, that was real. The way that he portrays it is really douchey, and does not even showcase that they even halfway know what the problems actually are with those properties. And Alex, your final thoughts on this?
From me, but Disney needs to I think start pumping the brakes a bit on their franchises. Maybe start putting out a few smaller films. I mean, even just mid-tier films would be good, I think, at this point.
Wait. Are you proposing that something that I have been screaming for a while, which is taking Marvel and Star Wars and putting them on the shelf? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes, I am.
Oh, I guess I'm not a crazy person, huh, Internet?
They don't have to walk away from Star Wars entirely, but we don't need another big-ass movie trilogy.
No, you just don't need to make a movie. Like, go and see what you did wrong, and then start constructing some kind of an overarching story in like 5 years or I would actually say 10 years at this point, because there's just so much radioactive crap on both properties at this point. Go take 10 years, go figure out what you did wrong, go figure out how you can fix it, and then start constructing a damn story. Because then at that point, we would have a lot more faith in you.
I mean,
yeah, one of my now brothers-in-law, he's a huge Star Wars fan, and when he was here for my wedding, he turns to me, because my husband is a huge Star Trek fan, and he goes, "You need to convert him." And I looked at him and I said, well, I can't deny that a lot of what Disney has been doing with Star Wars, I haven't really been a huge fan of, and I don't feel what they have done recently,
Right.
aside from maybe a project here or there, has been good.
Mhm.
I mean, I love The Mandalorian.
That's kind of what I've heard. Is like season 1, good. Season 2 gets a little bit better. Season 3, not so much. And that's where it falls off from there.
Yeah, and I mean, Andor was really good, but I haven't really watched anything else because I'm just like, because I guess what I want to, with something that I'm about to say and would like to propose, and there may be a fair amount of people who are going to gasp audibly. However, I think Disney needs to realize that maybe I don't need constant entertainment shoved down my throat.
What?
And I
Sorry,
Well,
I just wanted to
I now need
Oh
that
my gosh.
clipped. What?
Thank you. I appreciate. No, I really do appreciate it. That was well timed. I don't. They are producing so much stuff,
Yes.
and the shoving it in my face. Like, there's something new coming out. It almost feels like from Disney every single month, and I'm like, I don't like. Even if I wasn't in grad school, I don't have time to
No.
consume all this. I have so many different pop culture interests that I cannot keep up with it anymore. I just can't.
And on top of that, they've even admitted like their Marvel stuff on Disney Plus has not been doing well at all. And right now they don't really have many plans for Disney Plus series for Marvel in the foreseeable future. I think the next thing that they have slated is like late 2024 or early 2025. And that's supposed to go in coincide with the movies that are now being delayed. In fact, their whole Avengers arc might actually be on the cusp of being thrown in the furnace because, unfortunately, their lead villain has a little bit of a domestic abuse problem. I don't know. I've just heard.
You're talking
Well-
in real life, the actor.
Yeah, he's been arrested
Yeah.
for
Wow.
domestic abuse. And so at that
Wow.
point, Disney has been bouncing back and forth most of this year because so they were supposed to be doing Kang the Conqueror because he was debuted in in the third Ant-Man movie.
Ant-Man.
So at that point,
Yes.
they were teasing at Kang the Conqueror, who's like a prominent Avengers villain, and now because of this domestic violence and the fact that the domestic abuse charges plus all of the other movies aren't doing very well, they're literally like rethinking whether or not they want to do Kang, and instead they've actually been teasing that maybe they would reconsider putting Doctor Doom back on the table.
Which is just going to make the whole
Oh,
multiverse saga very confusing.
That's going to actually hurt it because if
debuted-
they try and do Doom after 2 failed attempts in people's eyes, and then on top of that, you get a lackluster Doom that was supposed to be Kang, you're just going to ruin all Marvel fans' hopes at that point.
No, 100%. The multiverse saga, in my opinion, is just completely all over the place at
Yes.
this point. And so I don't think I said this yet. I know that I had made a very strong statement. I'm pretty sure it was earlier in this year where I was like, I am back into it, baby. Nope, I don't
No.
care. I'm done with the I really am done with the MCU. I think it needs to end.
Or at least take a very long break.
Yeah, take a break.
Because I think you've actually put it prominently, Brenton, and the fact that even other streaming platforms right now are saying, yeah, we cannot put things out at a breakneck pace like Disney is because we're starting to see like how that didn't work for them. And Disney's response to all of that was, oh, well, bam, here, movie here, series here, reboot here, reimagining here. And they just keep going and going and going and going and keep digging themselves into a deeper hole. And so at that point, like, Bob, if you actually believe what you're saying, then your impression would be to look at all of your active projects for the next 3 years and look at all of them with a fine-tooth comb and say, this needs more work, move it all to like a couple of years from now. And then at that point, we'll advertise it properly. We'll work on the stories for them. We'll flesh them out. We'll make them actual living, breathing stories, and then we'll release them. And I've been saying it for years. Take Marvel and take Star Wars, put them on the goddamn shelf, and go work on your shit.
Hey, Disney, I got a perfect idea for a Disney Plus series for you. You don't need a giant budget for it. Just make a show. What they should do, make a show about ILM. I mean, there is a documentary, but like a dramatized version of Industrial Light and Magic in that early days of making,
like a biopic
on
ILM or Lucas.
Yeah. I mean, like, just reading about all the work that went into the special effects of the first Star Wars movie, that in itself would make a really compelling.
You have
like
a wave of Star Wars
10
fans that would
series.
love that.
That would, right? And I said, like I said, there is a documentary, to be fair, but I'm thinking like an actual drama here would be a really great way to, I think, show that too as well. And, you know, you can make it could be a great, compelling drama. You don't need a huge budget. You don't need a lot of special effects. Ironic for a movie about it, or a TV show about special effects, right? You know, it's simple enough. You can do it. It's a fairly contained enough story because most of it would probably be in the studio setting anyway. Yep. Don't need a lot of locations. So, hey, they should totally do that. And you could do it on a pretty good budget. Mm-hmm. You don't need to break the bank with it.
And
that's what they should do.
Maybe I'm just out there and I just don't understand what kids these days want. But maybe trying to create new things out of old things, maybe it's not working for you. How about you just come up with new things? Because, like, I mean, one of the ideas that actually came to my mind when you and Brinton were mentioning this is like, well, I have heard that Santa Claus series has done fairly well for them. And then immediately I went in my head and went, oh, but the National Treasure series didn't do so well either. And I think it's just because people kind of know Disney's formula at this point. Is they're just going to take old properties and they're going to try and repurpose them and try and put messages in them and whatnot. And I think people are just sick of it. And at this point, they'd much rather have something original than have regurgitated nonsense thrown at them. And I also can't help but think about us talking about this last month with the Gargoyles reboot. Like, does that need to happen? No. Why don't you go make something new?
Yeah.
Do you need to bring back 1997 X-Men? No. Go do something new. And
yeah, it kind of brings up the question that I asked from the last show. Like, who's asking for this? Like, is it, like, what?
That's a very good question.
Is,
no one.
Like, what audience is screaming, I need a Gargoyles reboot? What audience is screaming?
Because I can guarantee you, Gargoyles fans are like, I'm going to go watch the series.
I would rather go watch the... well, I mean, even in some capacity, I know that they redid DuckTales, which I loved as a kid. I prefer to watch the original.
Which the original is there for you. And that in all honesty is what Disney Plus should be focused upon. Is you take all of the properties that have been sitting in your goddamn vault for who knows how long, work out whatever deals you have to work out because you're fucking Disney. You can make it work, and you put that shit out. You have the Muppets properties, and 80% of those Muppets properties are not on your platform. Good God almighty. Do you not think that kids these days would enjoy Fraggle Rock? I know of a bunch of kids that would. And not the new stuff that you're putting out. They would enjoy the old stuff. And people tend to forget that one of the reasons Netflix was as popular as it was is because it literally went out to those companies and said, well, you're not really doing anything with Friends. Can we have it? Got a really good deal for it and then streamed it for like 10 years. oh, wow, here's this amazing surge in subscriptions because people are watching nothing but Star Trek Friends, Power Rangers, and so on.
Yeah, this conversation is starting to make me realize, like,
This conversation is starting to make me need
it-
Prozac. Yeah, I agree.
No, it's just making me realize when Disney Plus was first announced, I know that it was very much in regards to, well, we want our own streaming service where you can watch all Disney content.
Yes.
And with it, it came, and we're going to bring back these characters and these characters and these characters. And I think that we were all like, what's the word I
Well,
want
the problem
use
is
here?
when
We have,
streaming
like,
platforms were being announced around that boom, you had to announce something new. And so it...
Well, I think we were... Adam, let me
sorry,
talk.
go ahead, sorry.
I think we all were just given a bunch of rose-colored glasses,
Right.
and it was like, oh my gosh, we can see all of our childhood favorites, and oh my gosh, and they're coming back. And this conversation is making me realize, did we really need them to come back?
Well, I'm going
Like,
to have
did
a
we need to
50-50
see-
answer for you. Because here's the thing. Did we need to have older cartoons and older shows that up until that point either weren't getting syndication or there weren't immediate demands for them, or they just kind of sat there and collected dust on Hulu? Yes, we did. Because one of the things that the streaming market has been an advertisement for is go relive the days of yore. This is literally a platform that has been solely based on nostalgia. Cable used to be that way, but then you got things like Cartoon Network, and they're like, oh, well, put in new cartoons. But this was a platform based solely on nostalgia. That's why Netflix was able to do the things that it was, because people just wanted to go, like, originally they did the DVD plan, and then they said, oh yeah, you can stream your favorite movies for, like, just on your console. You know, you pay, originally it was free. Now you have a paid service. And so at that point, that's what it was. It was entirely fueled by nostalgia. And so at that point, Disney, who has like the backbone of 80% of our nostalgia in their vault, they literally could have cornered the market on it. Especially considering that, you know, Disney is about as tyrannical as Nintendo in the 90s. And some of those things, like the original DuckTales, like the original Disney afternoon shows, they were never going to let anybody else have. And so when Disney Plus was originally launched, much people, like myself and my wife, were just like, let's go see what they took out of the vault to put in. And go check all that stuff out. You remember that 90s Spider-Man series? Yeah, they have it. Holy shit, that's never been on a streaming platform. So that's where the allure came. The problem was that during that boom, everyone's like, well, what else new are you going to do? Netflix is doing Castlevania and all these other things. What are you going to do? And Disney had to go into the hype and go, well, we have the MCU, so we're obviously going to have Marvel stuff. We have Star Wars, so we obviously have to have Star Wars stuff. And kind of dug themselves into a hole in that regard, especially when the streaming service, especially when it came to original content, hadn't been figured out. And so financially, it wasn't really viable to be able to do. Sorry, I'm like taking a majority of the airtime here, but that's what the streaming platforms were originally based on. And now I kind of wish they'd just go back to that. Because then at that point, they could actually earn some damn money. That being said, I think we've hit the nail on the head on this one. Bob Iger, you're full of shit.
Yeah.
In short,
Bob Iger, you're full of shit. And
oh my
actually,
gosh.
Speaking of nostalgia, I actually forgot to put this in our agenda, but I am now going to fix it because I am literally going to send you guys this article live. And we're going to discuss it really quick because there isn't really a whole lot to get into, but I do remember that a bunch of people wanted us to talk about it. Which was, yes, it is officially confirmed, boys and girls. A live-action Legend of Zelda movie is in the works.
Oh my
In
gosh!
the
I actually
earliest
just got asked my opinion about this today.
I need to clarify this to people. It's in the earliest concepts of work. People are immediately thinking that there's storyboards on the table. We already have casted actors, and they just haven't revealed them yet. No. They just barely signed the fucking paperwork, people.
Yeah.
So
all we have is the director and the producer at this
yes.
point.
So really quick, the most that we have is that Sony, of all people, are going to be they're going to be helping with producing it alongside Arid Productions Inc. For those who do not know, that is the company headed by Avi Arad. For those who are not as familiar with him, he's actually one of the reasons that the MCU actually even remotely happened, because he was the one who drummed up interest. He was the one who put out like all of those really cool animated / CG movies of like Doctor Strange and Iron Man and all that. Ultimate Avengers was his. So at that, like, he was the one that kind of sparked that interest in order to get people talking about maybe we could pull this off. So a lot of people are already excited because he has already been working on a myriad of other franchises with Sony, including the Spider-Man films. Arid Productions actually helps out with those. So a lot of people are like, well, oh my gosh, like Spider-Man? Of course, this is in the bag. Really?
Well, there's also just as many people concerned because he's also produced a fair share of duds.
He also, yes, I'm glad you point that out because a lot of people are forgetting that. I love Avi Arad, okay? I do. He brought a lot of love, a lot of life and love back from my childhood and made it as clear for the world to see. But the problem is he's also brought out a lot of shit, too. And so at that point, it's basically become kind of a 50-50 deal. And unfortunately, the article that I have doesn't have the director and the producer. Let me see if I can track those down. But there is a director and a producer. And yes, you heard me right. The Legend of Zelda movie will be live action. So already I know that that's sparked a bit of controversy with people because they would prefer to have it animated, much like the Mario movie. But yeah.
I want to say, Avi Arad, he is the producer.
Avi Arad is the producer. And then director for it is Wes Ball. And Wes Ball I've never heard of, so let's see what he's done. Maze Runner, so the Maze Runner movies are his. Beginners was a movie back in 2010. Most of his credits are art department. But these are going to be his directorial. Yeah, he was a director known for the Maze Runner movies. So the Maze Runner movies are basically what Wes Ball has done. So already
And he has a Planet of the Apes movie coming out.
Yeah, that's right, because he's working with Sony to extend the Planet of the Apes movies. So at that point, not really a whole lot to go off of. He has 3 to 4 movies to his name, and they're thinking because he's brand spanking new, that's going to drum up interest in this Legend of Zelda property. Of course, my question has to be, like, is he a Zelda fan? Does he know what Zelda's about? But I'm obviously not going to get that answered anytime soon.
Well, there is an answer if I can find it. Okay.
If you say no, I'm going to be very mad.
He is.
Okay.
Shoot. I don't have an article, but I did see like a YouTube video that went into this, and he had some tweets from a while ago where, he kind of was like sort of speculating on what a hypothetical Zelda movie might be like, or he says like that would be kind of not necessarily that he said he wanted to direct it, quote unquote.
Of course, this happens on Twitter all the time.
He's more like that man. What like a live action Zelda? Maybe it wasn't live action. If I find the video again, I'm sure I will. Well,
we'll be discussing this in the future because here's the problem. This is probably why it didn't make the agenda. There isn't a whole lot to talk about here because, like, we know that the deal is here. We know that there's a director and a producer. We know that Arid Productions is behind it. We know Sony's going to be backing it. And we also know Nintendo's very excited about it. Specifically, Miyamoto himself is very excited about this. That's all we know. Mm-hmm. Because there literally isn't anything, like, there's no concept yet. There's no early treatments, or like the deal literally just got put to ink and now they're in that planning stage. So at that point, not really a whole lot to talk about here, but Brinton Give your thoughts here. Live action Zelda movie in the works. You guys are getting your wish. A live action Zelda movie. Well, a Zelda movie, but a Zelda movie.
Well,
Okay.
I wanted an animated movie, but
Me too.
Well, like I said, a coworker literally asked my opinion about this today, so I will say exactly what I said to him. One, I'm excited. However, I am just a bit nervous in regards to what casting is going to look
Right.
like, because there have been a lot of people online that have put forth their interest in, oh, I want to be Link, I want to be Zelda. So I'm just nervous about what casting is going to look like. I'm also a little bit nervous on how they're going to bring to life a silent protagonist like Link,
Mhm.
because the last time that they brought him to life was in an 80s cartoon where he was a sassy sassafras.
excuse me, princess.
Are you telling me? Are you telling me you
Exactly.
didn't like that?
I mean, it's entertaining to watch at 32
Would you have
years
preferred
old.
the '90s animated incarnation that went golly all the time?
That was
No,
only, they only did that like once in the CGI games.
Adam.
And I think only in
I'm not. I'm
Adam,
saying
if I had-
neither are good. That's honestly what I'm saying, Brinson.
Adam, if I had to choose between the 80s or the 90s, I'd go with 80s.
Yes.
Link, but that's just me.
Yes.
So those are those are just ultimately the things that I'm worried about. But then the last thing is, what kind of a story are they going to
Right.
tell? Because like, are they just going to adapt one of the games? Are they going to make a canon story that gets fit somewhere into the timeline? That's kind of what I'm curious about. But like you said, what we know is that it's happening, and that is it.
Pretty much. That's
Okay,
pretty
I
much what we
found it,
have.
by the way.
Alex, your thoughts on
So,
it?
Okay, so in your question, what does Wes Ball think of the Zelda franchise? So here's an old tweet of his from 2014. So remember, it's old. This is like 10 years old now, basically. So obviously thoughts can change, but this is just what I have here. He says, quote, I think audiences are 100% ready for a full CG adult animated movie made with strong live action sensibilities. Let me see. I think he's got a few more. I'm just kind of scrolling. Okay, since I could never even hope to have the chance to direct it, the next big mocap Avatar-like movie should be The Legend of Zelda. And that was from 2010. So
But
that's
even then,
older.
he's proposing a mocap movie, and that
Yeah,
is
which
not
is
live action.
Well, I don't know. Avatar is considered live action, so
Yeah, I
It's-
don't know if I buy that either. It's a
like we said-
fusion.
yeah. So that I have seen some speculation online that, right, maybe this could be a mocap movie or like a fusion, like an Avatar, like the James Cameron Avatar
Right.
movies, right? Or it could be all live action. We don't know because it's still too early to really know what's going on, and obviously these details can change. We'll have to wait and see. So, but there you go. At least the man seems to have some interest and passion in what he's doing.
Okay.
On that note, that actually kind of brings up something that I read on Twitter X.
Twitter Man X.
When this, yes, Twitterman X, when all of this
Twitterman
was
X.
starting to come to light, somebody had mentioned about, like, because nobody's really thrown in their ballot or consideration for, oh, who should be Ganondorf, except I did. And I wish I saved the tweet, but somebody had stated, I would just like for someone, like, I would like for them to cast someone who is legitimately just a tall, buff dude instead of what they did for, like, Thanos, because there are plenty of tall, buff dudes that they can cast who are actors who would just fill the role just fine. And I think it's just going to ultimately eliminate having to do a lot of extra CGI on Ganondorf, considering that he didn't really get the best treatment in Tears of the Kingdom.
I have an answer for you on this. Just
Sure.
feed Matt Mercer a bunch of protein powder.
Get ripped, Matt Mercer. You got probably 5 years.
Hey, it's a better answer than a lot of people I've talked to have had, which is like, throw the rock in that part. No!
So, Adam, I expect you to tweet at Matt Mercer From the GNRO Twitter, saying that he needs to get jacked for the role of Ganondorf. Just saying.
No, the reason I say it is because, yes, I'm aware that there are some, even though I haven't seen them yet, some meme-worthy moments in Tears of the Kingdom. I haven't really had a complaint with his voice portrayal of Ganondorf. And so at that point, he's got the voice, but I agree with you. He doesn't have the look down. He's actually pretty gangly. He's pretty fit. I'm not gonna lie, but like if I had a choice between, say, him and, I don't know, Travis Willingham, who's much more buff and I think a little bit taller than him, I'd probably pick Travis Willingham because he would fit that role a little bit better.
I don't even know what he looks like.
I mean, alternatively, though, you could always hire like somebody who could for the physique, and then
that's what I've seen a lot of people say is like maybe you ought to go cast somebody like Christopher Judge to be the body, and then have a separate voice actor. And I tend to agree that would be a great thing to do, but unfortunately we're not allowed to do that anymore because now we have mocap, and apparently it's now required that the voice of the character must also be the body of the character, and to me that's just utter bullshit. But okay, let me see if I can get you a picture of Travis Willingham.
Already found him. I'm sold.
Yeah, because he's got the physique for it. He just doesn't like you need to overhaul his hair and facial features just a little bit. But I think he'd be fine.
That's what, like, wigs and makeup.
Yeah, exactly. But he's got the physique. But now just, like, let's go with Alex's idea for a second. Willingham plays the body, Mercer plays the voice.
Sure.
That would work. That would be amazing because Mercer gets who Ganondorf is. And so at that point, I'd have no problem with him playing Ganondorf. It's just we need somebody that's bigger and burlier to play the body portion, the mocap portion of Ganondorf. And I honestly do not think that Travis and Matt, considering that they literally play D&D together and it's been very successful for them, that they're going to have any problem working together.
Oh, I'm sure it would be a wonderful working relationship.
They'll laugh at each other on set. They totally will. But yeah, I would love to be able to see that because that's what Alex is portraying is pretty much the way that you're going to get Ganondorf on set. Is you need to embellish, and that's like mocap is the way that you're going to do it. So, but given that, I mean, my thoughts are to kind of wrap this up because Brinton and Alex have gone through it. People might remember I am skeptical about Hollywood approaching The Legend of Zelda. I am still skeptical about them approaching The Legend of Zelda, especially with a lot of the writing complaints that we have mentioned in this podcast. And Link is a treasure, in my opinion, especially of video game lore. He is like in my opinion, the last Arthurian type character out there. And by that, I mean, like, he is genuinely good just to be good. He's always very, like, simple guy with a simple life who gets thrust into a situation that is beyond him and still rises to the occasion. That's the Link that I want to see on screen. That is probably not what the majority of Zelda fans want to see on screen. And so at that point, I'm worried. I will hold all reservations until I see a trailer, but until then, there's already a bunch of red flags for me. I don't know how else to say it, so everybody can be mad at me about how I'm just ruining their day, but that's my viewpoint. I'm not exactly rushing to go watch a Zelda trailer at this point. Besides, it's going to be like a year or two before we even see one. That being said,
if that, I don't even think it's going to be a year. I think we're probably not going to see anything for, like, my guess, conservative estimate, 4 to 5 years. I think this is going to be.
Well, if they want to do it right, then yeah, 4 or 5 years. Then I'm okay with it. Do I think they should go as far as 10? Probably not, because then people will be like, people will basically be looking at them like they did John Woo with the Metroid movie. Like, seriously, dude, what the fuck? Which was also supposed to be live action.
If we have to wait, if we're waiting, 10 years later for a trailer for the live action Legend of Zelda movie, I'm not watching it. That tells me that they have spent too much time
we
which
forget that
could
we were
mean
basically
bad
waiting,
things.
I want to say, the better part of almost 10 years for the Warcraft trailer. That's literally how long we waited, because we heard that Sam Raimi had been cast like early on, and then it was like 5 to 7 before we saw a trailer. I want to say that that's right, but maybe I'm not right, I'm remembering it right. But so that's all we got for that one. Moving on into the next story. This is actually a controversy that has been striking for like the last 10 days or so. But I know that enough of you guys have sent this in. Specifically, you've sent in the videos by Carl Jobst and Mutahar of Some Ordinary Gamers. But there seems to be a little bit of a situation going on with Gerard the Completionist, as the videos that I sent you guys were for Carl Jobst, but you also have Some Ordinary Gamer. He's been covering this as well. The Completionist is in a little bit of hot water over the fact that the charity that his family created, called the Open Hand Foundation, which was specifically targeted towards helping research for dementia or dementia-based illnesses, has actually not been donating the money that they have been accruing. And by that I mean Gerard Khalil, otherwise known as the Completionist, once a year for, I want to say, the last 3 to 5 years, has been doing a marathon event called Indie Land. And I actually have appreciated him for doing this, because anybody that puts a spotlight on the indie dev community, I will give you props. And that's what he does, is as a charity marathon, he allows for indie devs to come and bring their prospective builds, to be able to bring their upcoming games to test, to show live, for people to be able to see it, and then also they can donate to be able to help out a good cause, which just so happens to have taken the life of Gerard Khalil's mother. And the problem that seems to have happened is that if you look into their public records, it now seems that all of the money that has been donated from Indie Land over the last few years has not been donated to any of the organizations working towards research for dementia or dementia-based illnesses. In fact, there's about $600,000 that are sitting in a bank account somewhere and have not been donated to anybody. Now, I will give Carl and Mutahar some credit. They actually reached out to Gerard to get a comment on it, and Gerard came out to reply. The reply wasn't promising. He basically came out and said that he doesn't have any information on it. He is just like a third-party person when it comes to any kind of information in regards to that organization, and that he just runs Indie Land and he gets the donations going. Turns out, when you do a little bit further digging, he actually is on the board for the Open Hand Foundation, which means he should have that information because it needs to be presented to the board members. To which he is saying he doesn't know any of that. Now, this has been creating a little bit of a hot water problem for Gerard, but only in the sense that a lot of his fans have basically been saying 4 words ad nauseum to him over the last 10 or so days. And I'm pretty sure that you both would agree with this. Just donate the money.
Mm-hmm.
Just get it out of the bank account. Turns out that after Carl Jobst and Mutahar did some additional digging, this is apparently not the first time that they've had weird snafus with charitable organizations, or with charity drives, specifically in regards to the Open Hand Foundation. Turns out that Gerard's father, Charles Khalil, has been doing charity golf events for the Open Hand Foundation, has gotten big corporate sponsorships for it, and those don't even show up in any of their donations. They don't even show up in the financial records for the Open Hand Foundation at all. So they are a ghost town as far as those are concerned, and already that's starting to ask, or at least make people ask the question, is this some kind of legitimate charity fraud? And so I'm going to open it up to you. Like, have you guys, either of you watched either of these videos?
Yes, I have actually.
I'm aware, like I'm aware of the story. However, I haven't watched anything.
Okay.
No.
So Alex, your thoughts as this has been going on?
Yeah, it's a shame, really, because you promise to start a charity, you promise to donate money, and you don't follow through. At first, I kind of wanted to give him more benefit of the doubt that I thought maybe at worst he's ignorant, but yeah, the more that Mudahar and Carl Jobs have dug into this and reported on it, the more shadiness that's just come out of it. And there's definitely a lot more going on here that I think needs proper investigation. I don't have enough legal knowledge or
Right.
financial knowledge to comment in one way or the other, so but I definitely can say, yeah, either the state or federal government should probably kind of look into this a bit more.
Yeah. And what makes it even, like, have you seen the recent video that Carl put out that is attached to this, where he went into his dad?
So. Yeah, I believe I
Okay.
did see that.
Yeah,
one.
because that came out today. And what's even more disturbing about it is Mudahar's video, I don't think is out just yet, but Carl basically points out in that video that Mudahar has additional information, and Carl has additional information that is uncorroborated yet. And I emphasize yet because he makes it sound like he is close to corroborating it. So at that point, there might be more that makes this even more damning and even more of a big problem, especially for Gerard, who has already had a number of bumps in his YouTube career, much less before he even got successful, and then some after it. I will agree with you. Him basically feigning ignorance doesn't really help, especially when it was discovered he was part of the board. Because, like, even I know with some of these charitable organizations, like, the board has to be informed of everything that has to happen. So somebody has to legally come and inform you of this stuff. And a lot of people are going to point this out to me like, well, Gerard's just busy because he's completing games all the time. No, he has to set aside time for this. He has to set aside time and talk with a lawyer and have, or the business rep that's running the Open Hand Foundation, which I believe is his brother, and he has to go over this and he has to understand it. Because I believe he has to sign paperwork that says he understands it.
It's true. And it's like, even if he wasn't on the board and he was just kind of being the face of the charity, you would at least hope that he would be doing his due diligence to make sure that the charity is acting in accordance to the wishes of him.
And I have no problem saying this. It makes it look really skeezy, and it actually, in some ways, makes it look like his father is basically using him as a front so that he can do whatever illegal business practices or charitable practices he wants to do. And so at that point, like, I completely understand where a lot of his fans are just like, just donate the money, move on. But I think that we might have a bigger problem here, especially now with this additional information.
It sounds like it. Mm-hmm.
So Gerard might be in some serious hot water. I have seen a lot of people saying that this is probably going to get the IRS involved. However, I think Carl makes an emphasis that it's probably just going to be the state of California that's involved, because it's not like these golf tournaments have happened outside the state, and technically Indie Land has happened within the state as well. So I don't think that there's going to be any federal stuff involved, but
unless they're not paying some kind. Well, I don't. This is outside my area of knowledge, so I don't know what it would take beyond obviously actual tax fraud. This, and I don't know how charities get. I don't know how that works with taxes and federal taxes.
Well, I could tell you, so like, right off the bat, the state would look into it first, and then if they saw anything that was federal, then they'd have to bring the IRS in. That's the most I know.
Yeah.
So at that point, the minimum that this looks like it's going to be is there's going to be some kind of audit coming, especially to Gerard, and probably a lot of things to answer for. And I think the biggest thing that this is going to hurt, which makes me the most frustrated about it, especially Gerard's ignorance, is this is going to hurt indie devs. Because now indie devs are going to have to look at Indie Land 2024, because I think 2023 has already happened. they're going to have to look at IndieLand 2024 and go, do we want to be involved in this and be involved in all the hot water that they are under right now? Because that could easily come back at us. And so what we might actually see is that IndieLand doesn't have as great a showing, and thus indie developers are going to continue to go unnoticed, which is not what I want, ultimately.
That's a damn shame.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like, for all the people that want to say that I'm full of crap, they have to consider it that way, because it's just them. It, like, in a lot of cases, these indie devs are just them in their basement working on these games. They don't have the money to go hire a legal department to go look into all of the things that are going on. And if they go to this charity thing and something prominent happens, they become part of the investigation. And that brings a lot of bad press on them indirectly, and it also just creates a bunch of headaches that they just don't want to deal with, because they are already dealing with like the 20 different headaches of how to make the game work. So I hope that we don't get any additional developments out of this, but this is not looking good for Gerard and family. And I think it's, at this point, it is far beyond the whole concept of just donate the money. I think there's something really skeezy going on, and it's not gonna go well for Gerard. Final thoughts, Brinton, on this one?
I think you guys have really stated some excellent points here, things that I was even going to say as well. Honestly, if this were me and this was like discovered, I would have just owned it and would have said, you're right, this money has not been donated, and we will rectify this problem immediately and have like a big whole press thing about it. But instead, the fact that there is feigned ignorance does 100% scream there's something deeper going on here. And the only thing that I've seen come out of situations like these is careers are ruined.
Regardless.
So
it doesn't even matter if they get exonerated in the end.
I'm not a huge fan of the completionist. I'm
not either. After the whole thing with Greg, I stopped watching.
It's not very entertaining. I just don't like his content. It is not my cup of tea, and that is okay. Yeah, that is completely okay.
The problem right now is that the content, like originally when they were doing the stuff with Greg, it was very much like, you know, Nostalgia Critic or James Rolfe or something like that. Now it's become horribly formulaic. And enough to a point where, to me, I have no problem saying this. I've watched a couple of the modern completionist episodes. They're just boring, in my opinion. I have no problem saying that. They're just boring.
Ultimately, like you guys are saying, the federal government's going to get involved. The IRS is going to get involved. Just come clean. It's going to hurt a lot less. But the fact that it doesn't appear like that's going to become the case, well, say goodbye to your career.
Yeah, pretty much. And unfortunately for Gerard, this wouldn't be the first time. Like he's already had a rocky start on YouTube, like a lot of people on YouTube have, and he was one of the few that actually was able to get past that. And this is probably going to end that. And the sad part is that it's probably not even him that ends it. It's going to be because of stuff that either his dad or his brother endorsed, and that's going to come to bite him in the ass. Much like when his brother decided to not consult him and got rid of Pro Jared, which now that Pro Jared's been exonerated has actually kind of blown up at Gerard a little bit because of how abruptly they responded. And it wasn't necessarily Gerard, it was his brother that responded abruptly.
Well, like I say to many people, and I'm sure I've said this on the podcast before, I would like to think of my response similar to the Kermit meme, where he is sitting drinking some Lipton iced tea with the caption, "Not my problem."
I love that meme.
All right. So with that being said, let's get into the main event here, shall we? We have nominees for the 2023 Game Awards. And so people have already been asking us about what we thought about the nominees that actually came out. I already have some issues with it, but let's go ahead and get into this, shall we? So, first of all, it's going to be on December 7th, so you guys can look forward to us talking about it once that has happened. And the game of the year already has a red flag for me because we have a whopping 6 games in contesting for it, and 2 of them literally came out last month. So we have Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. My bad. 3 games came out last month.
No kidding.
So
recent.
I'm going to keep harping this, boys and girls. There needs to be a time limit on when people can submit, because I get that it's a marketing thing, but it really hurts putting games like Spider-Man 2 up against Tears of the fucking Kingdom.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Adam!
I just really need to host this in January or something.
Kind of do.
Adam, did you like bug me or something? Because this is something I literally talked about with a coworker as well today.
No.
Like everything that we've talked about, I have literally had the exact same conversations with a coworker today.
No. Terminate the bug. Terminate the bug.
Oh my god.
I said abort. 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 No, I'm kidding. Yeah. I agree with Alex. This really needs to be like, there's a reason the Oscars happens in like February. Okay. We need to have like a serious cutoff time of like January 1st. And then I wouldn't have these issues, but I already have a feeling that people are gonna be like, well, you just butter because Spider-Man 2 is better than everything else. No, I'm pretty sure that some of these games would kick Spider-Man 2's ass because they've been around longer and they already have the sales to prove it. So that's...
Yeah, here's my problem. Out of these 6 games that have been nominated, I've played 1 from start to finish, and there are 3 others I would like to play, 1 that I own but have not yet started. So I really can only vouch for Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, I was going to say, out of the 6 games, I have played 1, I have not played it to completion, and therefore I can only vouch... Well, I can vouch for the previous iteration of Resident Evil 4, but not the remake. So...
I have Alan Wake 2 waiting to be played, but I want to play through the first one again for my husband before I jump into number 2, because he really liked Control, and I told him that it's all in the same universe.
Yeah, which was such a weird decision that Remedy made. I love it. It actually makes me wonder if we're going to see a return of Max Payne at some point.
I would love for them in some weird capacity to be like, oh yeah, this is connected too. And it's like, how?
Mm-hmm.
I don't...
Because we're Remedy, damn it, that's why.
Hey, if they make it make sense, I will.
Exactly.
I'll be here for it. I plan on playing Wonder and Spider-Man 2. Don't know when and don't know with what money, but they will be played at some point.
I mean, all of the Game of the Year candidates are on my list. Like, I want to be able to play them all. And no, I don't want to play Baldur's Gate 3 so that I can have sex as a bear with a guy, which is apparently the one thing that everybody has taken away from it. Even though before that it was getting amazing press for the fact that it was a clear-cut adaptation of D&D 5th edition compared to other Baldur's Gate's interpretations of other D&D formats. No, the only thing that everybody can remember is, you can have sex as a bear with a guy! Good lord.
That's uncomfortable.
So I'm going to bring up the odd elephant in the room. Why not Hogwarts Legacy?
Oh, yeah, that's a really good point.
It's almost like we're buying a press tagline that was absolutely bullshit.
Because did you guys get to play Hogwarts Legacy?
I got to play for a little bit.
I should, but I haven't played it yet.
Oh my gosh, it fulfilled every single Harry Potter fantasy that I have.
I mean, I can tell you why it's not there, but that reason's bullshit, and even Jeff Keighley knows that.
Right.
So at that point...
Yeah, kind of strange, because it was... It was nominated last year for most anticipated. But...
Mm-hmm. So we're going to play an interesting game here tonight, guys, because with the Game Awards, we normally do predictions. I'm going to give you two different types of predictions for the key awards, which is what you want to win or what you think should win versus what you know is going to win. Okay? Makes sense? So I will give you an example where I think that Tears of the Kingdom should probably be the one to walk away with it. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Spider-Man 2 because they probably paid more marketing money for it. I know, a lot of people want to say that Nintendo paid that out, but I'm guaranteeing you Insomniac did, especially considering that the ending already got leaked and it's already pissing off people who have not played the game.
For Spider-Man 2? Oh, I'm glad. Oh, I didn't even know that got leaked. Wow.
It got leaked hard. And it's disappointing. I'll say that.
Well, somehow I never saw the leak. So I avoided it. Oh my, cool.
I can tell you if you want.
No, I plan on playing it.
Well, it already got spoiled for me, and I can already tell you I'm still going to play Spider-Man 2, but after that I might be done. That's all I'm going to say. Because I do not agree with the reasoning that they're giving right now to people who are noticeably upset by it. But that being said, the other one that I'm actually kind of surprised didn't make it. Actually, no, I'm not surprised. I'm just surprised it didn't make it here on some honorary bullshit. Is Starfield. Wow, that's not here. Shouldn't that have been here?
It's a little surprising.
I guess Uncle Phil didn't want to dole out the cash Nintendo did for 2 titles. So, that being said, if I had to pick, since Hogwarts Legacy should be part of this, I actually think that if Hogwarts Legacy was on this, I would say Hogwarts Legacy sheerly because of all the financial success that it had, which, guys, it had a lot of success, despite the campaigns trying to shut it down. Even the Switch version had success, despite the campaigns trying to bring it down, which is funny because the Switch version should probably be the worst port. But since Hogwarts Legacy isn't in there, I'm going to go with Tears of the Kingdom. Alex, what do you want to, or what do you think should win, and what do you know is going to win?
Well, I mean, the only one I've played of these is Tears of the Kingdom, so I guess that's my pick by default.
All right.
But what I think will win will actually be Baldur's Gate 3, because it's been kind of a darling of some of the other awards that have already happened, like the Golden Joystick Awards.
Okay.
So that one's been kind of cleaning up. So I'm going to go with Baldur's Gate.
At least you didn't say it was because you can bone a dude as a bear. All right.
I don't know anything about the game, so I'm just saying.
No, seriously, that is something that came out a week before the game came out. It was in early access before that and was getting rave reviews before that. And now everything everybody thinks about when they think Baldur's Gate 3 is that. It's so stupid. But I do agree with you. Okay. It has been a darling at other award shows. Brinton, your turn. What do you know should win? What do you think should win? And what do you know is going to win?
Very much like Alex, I've only played Tears of the Kingdom. However, from what I have seen, just in like gameplay trailers, I'm kind of mixed between Super Mario Bros. Wonder and Alan Wake 2.
Okay.
But what do I think is going to win? I think it could be between Baldur's Gate or Spider-Man 2.
So then,
and I'm even gonna throw in Tears of the Kingdom.
All right. So best game direction. So this would go to the directors of them. So we have Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Spider-Man 2, Mario Bros. Wonder, and Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So my original argument stands. Only 2 of them should be here. Again, Hogwarts Legacy, obviously absent. If I was going to take a guess for game direction, I'd probably say that Wonder would take this because of the interesting way that they've decided to approach the Mario formula. More than likely, what's going to win is probably Baldur's Gate 3. which I don't know if I would be disappointed in either. Let's go with Brenton this time. What do you think is going to win versus what you know?
I would agree with what you said, Adam. I think Wonder should win it. However, I could see Baldur's Gate being the one to take it.
Yeah. Alex.
Again, Baldur's Gate will probably be the winner. So, and again, only one I can speak for is Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay. So, best narrative. We have Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty, Final Fantasy 16, and Spider-Man 2. My take on this is that it probably, first of all, why is there a DLC in with full games? It doesn't seem like it
should be its own category.
It shouldn't be.
Well,
there.
that actually brings up something that I had spoken about with said coworker today when we were having this conversation. Again, I do agree that there needs to be a cutoff, because I feel that winners of these awards end up being games that are more fresh on the minds of people. Right. And that is because crap. Sorry, I'm jumbling up the words in my head. For like the Academy Awards, there is an actual dedicated academy of people who vote on and determine who should win the Oscars. When it comes to the Game Awards, I'm literally on their website. All I have to do is sign in, like create an account, sign in, and vote myself. So again, that concept of the games that are more fresh on people's minds are probably more than likely going to get the most votes, because it's the generalized gaming community across the planet that are voting for who should win these awards, right, instead of there being a dedicated like board or academy of individuals who should be making these decisions.
Yeah.
And if I'm not wrong, I think it's even the fans who are presenting these nominees. So I agree. I don't understand why a DLC is being included for an award.
It shouldn't
that does
be there.
Not make sense to me.
No, it should be getting its own category.
I agree.
Yeah. So taking that one out, obviously, if I was going to say what I want, I would say Final Fantasy 16, because it's pretty much the only game here that I've played. What's more than likely going to happen because of the recent controversy, it's going to be Spider-Man 2. Brenton, let's go with you this time.
I've only played I haven't even finished Final Fantasy 16.
Also, Hogwarts Legacy, where is it?
Well, yeah, Hogwarts, like, oh my gosh.
Because compared to what Fantastic Beasts was doing, Hogwarts Legacy actually had a really original and interesting idea for the Wizarding World.
Does it have a strong narrative? I'm just curious. Like I said,
it does. It's based 100 years?
It's based in the late 1800s. Yeah. So this is during the war with the goblins prior to the goblin liberation. So this is way before Tom Riddle was even a thought in his mother's mind.
Even before he was a sperm and Marvolo's. Never mind, I'm not going the rest.
I'm not even sure his parents would have been around it.
No, they wouldn't have.
Like, not even, like, Dumbledore wasn't even a thing yet at this point in Wizarding history. Or maybe he was born by this point, but not old enough to be attending the Wizarding school. Either way, it is in a period of Wizarding history that's never been talked about or fully explored. And seeing that it came from a studio here in freaking Utah, they deserved better. Like, Hogwarts Legacy, honestly, is game of the year for me. I enjoyed my time in Tears of the Kingdom. However, now that the dust is settled and I've had time to really, really think about it, like, did I enjoy the story of Tears of the Kingdom? Sure. But was it really just Breath of the Wild with like a fresher-ish coat of
That's the
paint
problem.
and like
Yeah.
2 layers of a map. Yes.
2 to 3. Yeah. So I like personally, I like what they did with 16. I think that there's actually a really cool narrative move there in the fact that they basically have kind of embraced the fact that they need to be more Game of Thrones-ish, more Dark Souls-ish in order to continue on. And so I do like how they're portraying it. That's why I would go that direction. I know a lot of people are going to say, why aren't you going with Baldur's Gate 3? Because part of Baldur's Gate 3 isn't like the part that everybody loves with Baldur's Gate 3 is that it's not entirely narrative based. Most Baldur's Gate games, yes, they have a straight up narrative, but they also have branching points in those narratives because it's supposed to be basically hosting your own D&D campaign. So
ultimately, I never answered your question. I'm gonna say like who should win. Again, I haven't even finished 16, but I also know that Remedy has really, really superb storytelling. So I'm gonna say it's a toss up between 16 and Alan Wake 2. Which one do I think is gonna win?
Remedy's not loved. Or not
Remedy's not loved
not by the industry as a whole. It's loved by its fans.
Yeah, Alan Wake 2 is not going to win this. I'm not 100% sure who's going to win this. Honestly, I can't make a prediction on
Okay,
this.
what about you, Alex?
I got nothing.
All right.
I don't know.
So let's go into art direction because this actually, now we don't have to deal with all of the same ones. Only a few of them. So best art direction, we have Alan Wake 2, Hi-Fi Rush, Lies of P, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And this one, I am torn because I like a lot of the stuff that they did art-wise for Tears of the Kingdom. But can I say it's that different from Breath of the Wild? Unfortunately, no, I can't. Because a lot of the art direction is still kind of similar to it, and therefore not really all that innovative, except for the creative, create your own structure kind of thing. However, Hi-Fi Rush is I have played that. I want to get back into it. In fact, our buddy, I did my stream and that got Rising Sun to play Hi-Fi Rush. And he has played it all the way through and he loved it. So I would go in this direction with art direction, but more than likely it's going to go to Lies of P or Mario Wonder, because of their Lies of P, because of the fact that it's kind of going for a Bloodborne successor, but not as... It's a little bit brighter than Bloodborne, but it's still got that steampunky kind of feel, and then Mario Wonder because of all the stuff they did. So whereas I would like Hi-Fi Rush to win it, it's probably going to go in those directions. Alex, which one do you think it's going to do?
Well, I certainly do enjoy Tears of the Kingdom, and I like the cel-shaded art style. I would also agree with you. There's not a lot that's really that new about it over, say, its predecessor, Breath of the Wild. So I'll actually rule that one out from my personal pick.
Okay.
In terms of in terms of what I think might win, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't played any of these, so it's hard for me to say, and I can't necessarily look at the...
Brenton, have you played Hi-Fi Rush yet?
I've wanted to, but no, I have not yet.
Yeah, because I remember when we played that stream, I immediately reached out to you because it's basically like a Devil May Cry game, but it's done in a cel shading that's like a comic book, and on top of that, it's done in the there's like a musical based narrative to it that is amazing.
Yeah, the game looks phenomenal.
Yeah, it really does. And the funniest thing is that it's a Bethesda game. So now people can't complain to me that I don't like Bethesda. It's just, the real question is, are we going to get Hi-Fi Rush 2? Probably not. Brinton, any thoughts on this one?
I mean, I think Hi-Fi Rush should win it. However, I think I will go to either one of the Nintendo games.
All right. Let's go ahead and go into score and music. So we have Alan Wake 2, we have Baldur's Gate 3, we have Final Fantasy 16, we have Hi-Fi Rush, and we have Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. This is another one where I'm really torn because I want to put up Tears of the Kingdom there, but in my opinion, they haven't really done that much different from what Breath of the Wild did score-wise. So my ideal one is I would want Hi-Fi Rush to win because I love the fact that they found a way to be able to do something with more what's the word I'm looking for? Not hard rock, but like uppity rock, and be able to compose an entire score based off of it. More than likely, it's going to be like Baldur's Gate 3 that takes it. Let's go with Brenton. Where are you standing on this?
I mean, I've only played out of these 5 titles. I've only played 2 of them. I mean, I thought that Tears of the Kingdom soundtrack and score was actually really well done. Mm-hmm. So I want it to win, and I think it's gonna win.
See, the sad thing is like the next award down is audio design, and that's where I put Tears of the Kingdom because of the fact that they implemented new voices, new sound effects, new things. So at that point, it's much more there for audio design to me than score and music. But that's me. Alex, what about you?
Yeah, I don't know. I would lean towards, in terms of who will probably win, might be Baldur's Gate or Final Fantasy.
Okay.
I personally would agree with you. I wouldn't so much give them the nod for score as much as I give it for audio design. Sadly, they're not nominated for that.
Mm. Okay, so we're going to skip audio design because I want to get to the next one because this is another pivotal one. Best performance. So this is the one that a lot of people watch because it's usually the one that celebrities are going to be the one that wins. So we have Ben Starr as Clive Rossfield from Final Fantasy XVI. We have Cameron Monaghan as Cal Kestis from Jedi Survivor. We have Idris Elba as Solomon Reed for 2077 Phantom Liberty. We have Melody Libbard as Saga Anderson from Alan Wake 2. Neil Newbin as Astarion from Baldur's Gate 3. He's the guy that got laid by the bear, I think. And then Yuri Lowenthal as Peter Parker for Spider-Man 2. If I were going to take a guess as to who like based off of the popularity contest, because that's a lot of the time what best performance is now, it's going to be Idris Elba. But if I was going to pick my own, yeah, I'd probably go with either Ben Starr or Cameron Monaghan. Like I haven't seen Jedi Survivor, but I've seen his performance. I think it's Cameron Monaghan in Jedi Fallen Order, and I like his performance there. So I'd probably go in that direction. Alex, what about you?
I would agree. It's probably going to go to Idris Elba.
Yeah, it just makes sense. And again, DLC versus full games. Brenton, what about you?
I mean, Ben Starr has been getting a lot of awards.
He has, and I'm happy about that.
I think he could be a good contender. However, you're probably, I mean, out of all these faces, Idris Elba is the better known celebrity, so he'll probably walk away with the award. Yep. With an award he's not even going to care about.
Probably. So moving on into the ones that people are going to keep track of. Best action game: Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon, Dead Island 2, Ghost Runner 2, Hi-Fi Rush, and Remnant 2. This is the one where I know for a fact Hi-Fi Rush is going to take it. If there's anything that could take it away from it, it would probably be Armored Core 6, but I'm pretty sure that was not a review-loved darling, and Hi-Fi Rush was. So I would say that it's going to go that direction. What say you guys?
Remnant 2, I've heard, has been very hyped and well received.
Okay.
Ghost Runner 2 is way too new to be on this list.
Take your word for it.
Dead Island 2, the fact that it somehow came back from cancellation hell is a feat within itself, and that should deserve
some kind of recognition.
Some sort of recognition or category in itself. However, meh. Who should win it? Hi-Fi Rush, just from what I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's the one I would like to win. Who is gonna win it? I don't really know. Hi-Fi Rush could very well take this.
Yeah, I see this as being the consolation prize for Hi-Fi Rush, honestly. Alex, what about you?
No real opinion.
Okay. Best action adventure game. So we have Alan Wake 2, Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Jedi Survivor, and Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. This one, if there is going to be a charity award handed to Nintendo, it's going to be here. It's going to be Tears of the Kingdom for action adventure game. Either that, or if Zelda does a lot better than we think it's going to, this could either go to Spider-Man 2 or Survivor, or maybe even Alan Wake 2 as a consolation prize for them. That's me, though. Brinton, what about you?
I think from what I have played, which again is just one of the 5 games.
Mhm.
Who would I like to see win? I don't think I really have a preference
Yeah.
there. Who do I think is gonna like? I think that I think oh, okay, actually, I think who's gonna win could very well be Tears of the Kingdom. But I think ones that should be contenders are Alan Wake 2 and Resident Evil 4. Again, Spider-Man 2 is still way too fresh to be on this list, and I heard Jedi Survivor was received with mixed reviews. People called it Tomb Raider in space, but it was also followed by and not well done. So, yeah, I don't think Jedi Survivors get in that one.
Alex, what about you?
I would think it'll go to Resident Evil 4 will be the winner.
Could go to Capcom.
In terms of a personal pick, maybe, even though I haven't played it, maybe Spider-Man 2.
All right. So Best RPG is up next, and so we have Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 16, Lies of P. I don't know why Lies of P is in there, honestly. Sea of Stars, and this is the first time it's been mentioned in this entire list, Starfield. Well, I can already see where the consolation prize is going to. If I were to give my opinion on it, Sea of Stars should totally take it. But here's the thing: Sea of Stars shows up in Best Independent Game, so they'll probably get that compared to some of the others that are coming out right alongside it. And I could totally see them handing it over to Starfield or to Final Fantasy 16 if it isn't Sea of Stars. Or actually, in all honesty, it's Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3 would probably be the next one as a consolation if Starfield doesn't take it. And again, Lies of P is kind of questionable in there because it really should have just been in the action game department, from what I understand. But hey, that's what they decided to do. What's you guys' take on it?
You go first, Alex.
Okay, I think what will win, I'm gonna go for either Baldur's Gate or Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I think those are probably there. Brinton.
I think it should go to either Baldur's Gate or Final Fantasy, but I really do think that Starfield is going to take it.
It's probably going to be the consolation prize because this is literally the first time it's gotten mentioned. Even Survivor has been mentioned before this point. So then we have Best Fighting Game. This is one that I know that some people have wanted me to comment on, and I'm going to disappoint people. I don't think this is the first time that Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter have gone against each other. I believe they went against each other with Street Fighter V and Mortal Kombat X. I might be wrong about that. If I am, then totally fine. But we have God of Rock, Mortal Kombat 1, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2, Pocket Bravery, and Street Fighter 6. If I were going to take a wild guess onto this one, from what I understand, the story mode is probably the most memorable thing that came out of Mortal Kombat 1, but the game system was very reminiscent of Mortal Kombat 11, whereas Street Fighter 6 has an overhaul of gameplay, but their story mode, from what I understand, isn't really there. So it's kind of funny. They literally have flipped where Street Fighter V was focused on trying to get some kind of story out there and not really working on the gameplay, and the opposite for Mortal Kombat 11. Now we have opposites again. I would take a wild guess and say it's Street Fighter 6. This is going to be the consolation for Capcom because they have been working so hard on Street Fighter 6, and Mortal Kombat 1 will just, have to suck it. That's me, though. Now we get to go into Alex's favorite one, because I have a feeling that nobody really unless Brinton, do you have a thought on best fighting game?
Not
That's what I
particularly,
thought.
no.
Guys, Nickelodeon All Star
it's gonna go
Brawl
to
2 is
Mortal
not
Kombat.
taking it. Not when it's got Mortal
what were you
Kombat and
saying?
Street Fighter to tangle with.
Right.
I think fighting game will go to Mortal Kombat.
Okay, all right. So now we get to go to Alex's favorite one, which is Best Family Game. I'm sorry, the Nintendo Award. Which is funny because, yes, there are a
There's
bunch of
not that many
Nintendo games on here,
titles.
but they actually have some competition, I guess. Disney Illusion. So we have
variety
Disney
for sure.
Illusion Island. We have Party Animals. We have Pikmin 4. I'm kind of surprised Legend of Zelda didn't make this. Sonic Superstars and Mario Bros. Wonder.
It's gonna be Mario.
It
Brothers
has to be.
Wonder.
This is the consolation for Mario
I'm agreeing
Wonder.
with that as well.
Either that, or
I'm kinda
or if
surprised-
Wonder walks away better than we think it is, then maybe Sonic, maybe. But the reviewers did
I'm
not
gonna
like
go.
Sonic.
Yeah,
I'm
I've not
a
heard good
little
reviews.
I'm a little confused Pikmin 4 made this list because
Yeah, I am too.
but moving on.
Yeah. So then we also have Best Adaptation. This is one that I know that so many people are going to bring up to me. Castlevania Nocturne, Gran Turismo, The Last of Us, the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and Twisted Metal. Twisted Metal? Oh yeah, that's right. They got a series. Mario movie.
I would give it to the Mario.
I think that they've got it in the bag.
I think it could be either the Mario movie or The Last of Us.
I think, in all honesty, if it's so what I want is the Mario movie. More than likely, Jeff will pick the Last of Us series.
Yeah, actually, you're probably right.
Yeah,
I
maybe maybe he
think-
throws a bone to the Castlevania people. I don't know. They're getting roasted right now, so
I think it's also going to be the Mario movie. However, I would like for it to be The Last of Us.
okay. Most anticipated game. So we have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We have Hades 2. We have Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. We have Star Wars Outlaws and Tekken 8. So we have an action-adventure game. We have another action-adventure/RPG. We have another action-adventure/RPG. And we have another action-adventure/RPG. Gee, I wonder what's going to win. The action-adventure RPG, maybe? So I'm already going to rule out Like a Dragon because it's getting a lot of bad press right now, specifically because Young Ya apparently can't take criticism. So I don't know if that's going to be on the market unless they feel really bad for Young Ya, which I doubt. If I were to take a guess, it's probably going to be 7 Rebirth, because
I would
Square
agree.
Enix will pay through the nose to get that. Either that or Katsuhiro Harada will have beaten Square Enix to it and done Tekken 8. Which, you know what, considering Katsuhiro Harada, yeah, he could have done that. I think he could have literally sat there in front of Jeff Keighley's house and just said, you put this in for most anticipated game. I like you, Harada-san. I'm just saying. Which is sad, because I actually like the original Hades. I would love to see Hades 2 get some mention there, but 7 Rebirth just has way too much hype behind it. Same thing with Tekken 8. So, Brinton, where are you at with it?
I agree with 7 Rebirth, but I think Star Wars Outlaws may have a good chance as well.
Maybe. Alex, what about you?
Also, Final Fantasy.
Yeah, it has to be. Like, that's the hype game. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, one of the trailers we get for the Game Awards is a more in-depth trailer of 7 Rebirth. So
I would imagine, considering it comes out in 2 months.
Well, they
Oh my god,
they've
it's
got
coming out
it.
in
Yeah,
2
they've got
months.
it. Basically, what I think is going to happen is they're going to start doing the hype train or the marketing train there, and then we'll hear nothing but that for a while. I also do like the fact that Nintendo apparently paid through the nose to get Best Sim Strategy Game, because we have Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp. We have City Skylines 2, Company of Heroes 3, Fire Emblem Engage, and Pikmin 4.
Wow.
So we have a second Nintendo award, Alex.
Hey, two
And what's funny is that
would
I could
say-
easily see it going to Advance Wars or Pikmin. I don't have a problem saying that.
I'm gonna throw Fire Emblem, the hope and courage, I guess.
Romney is hopeful with you. And now we can actually go into some of the other things that are in here. Like I said, with Best Independent Game, I think that's going to go to Sea of Stars because it's up against Cocoon, Dave the Diver, Dredge, and Viewfinder. And I think the only contender in there is Viewfinder for Sea of Stars. But
Cocoon's been getting some love from other awards.
I haven't seen
but
that, but I'll take your word for it. Like I just barely heard about
Uh,
Cocoon like a month ago.
So if I'll give it Sea of Stars for independent, but for debut indie, I'm gonna go with Cocoon.
All right. So then we also have innovation and accessibility. Man, they really need to define this again. Because I'm having an issue trying to figure out where the innovation and accessibility is because they're all doing the same damn thing. We have Diablo 4, Forza Motorsport, Hi-Fi Rush, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Mortal Kombat 1, and Street Fighter 6.
Yeah, I'm not really clear. What is this category?
Do you guys not understand what accessibility means?
No. The innovation, because they're all doing the same thing.
Well,
Oh.
I would take the innovation and accessibility, like games that I don't know alter the way we play games forever, like for people who are differently
Yes.
able, maybe.
Because like I can tell you
I'm
what
not quite sure what these games would do.
I can tell you what
to really
Forza,
do that.
Mortal Kombat 1, and Street Fighter 6 did, because they basically added in support for the disability-based controllers, because Sony announced
Okay,
one.
there you go.
Hi-Fi Rush, I believe, also added in support for that, but I'm not 100% on that. It would not surprise me if Insomniac did that for Spider-Man 2. And Diablo 4, I know that they added in, along with disability controller stuff, they added in text-to-speech, as well as colorblind support, but colorblind support has been on all Blizzard games for a while now. So if I was going to take a wild guess, maybe Diablo 4 because of the text-to-speech, but it wouldn't surprise me if the other games had that too.
I'm going to
Yeah.
say that this particular category, because I don't disagree with what you guys are saying.
I just love the fact that this is the only bone that Diablo 4 has gotten. Blizzard, you are in deep right now. This is what this tells me.
Good for them.
I mean, I hate to be the guy.
It would be nice if they actually specified exactly what the innovation.
I'm sure they
is,
will
like,
at the Game
that would be
Awards,
nice.
but they're not here.
I don't know,
Maybe this is who innovated the best. I get that a lot of these companies did the exact same thing, but who drew in more players who are disabled because of the accessibility their game had?
Okay.
Is what I'm thinking. And this is just where I shine the most because this is what I do for a living.
Yeah.
So I understand this a little bit better. However, I can understand confusion when there is a lack
Yeah,
of
that's my problem here, is that
information.
everything that I can think of that they're doing for accessibility, I think everybody's doing at this point. And so can you say that there's innovation there? It's tough to say. That's why I'm saying probably at the award show we'll see what they're talking about, but I kind of wish they'd specify it in the nominees list. Because then we could actually say like there's a clear winner here. The other one that I find interesting is best community support. So we have Baldur's Gate 3, we have Cyberpunk 2077, we have Destiny 2, we have Final Fantasy 14, and we have No Man's Sky. The reason I find it interesting is because 2 to 3 of these games, a lot of the community support has been basically fixing your shitty game. Pointing at Cyberpunk 2077. 14, I mean, they're getting a new expansion, and their community support has already been pretty good. I think Destiny 2's as well. I've never heard anything bad about Baldur's Gate 3, but I just find it weird that both No Man's Sky and Cyberpunk are here. Granted, No Man's Sky has been doing better community support for far longer than Cyberpunk has.
I think this is gonna go to Final Fantasy 14 again.
Probably.
They've been winning this award like every single year for like since Shadowbringers came out. So
Probably. I think they'll also get best ongoing game too, because their competition isn't. I mean, maybe Fortnite, but it wouldn't surprise me.
No, Final Fantasy 14 is not going to lose to Fortnite. I can tell you that.
I'm just
now.
saying this might be this might be the biscuit that gets thrown Fortnite's way, because they don't really have anything else.
Fortnite has gone up in this category against Final Fantasy 14 for a while as well, and they have not. Okay. Yes, they have lost.
All right, then there you go. That's all I needed, honestly. Just
like 14 and Fortnite were nominated for this same exact award last year, and 14 won.
All right, then I'm good with it. And those, unfortunately, are the ones that we care about, because the rest are like content creator of the year, esports game, best esports athlete, best esports team, and frankly, I don't follow any of these esports, so at that point, I can't really comment on any of them. In fact, I still find it funny that League of Legends is still being mentioned in these categories. So,
content creator of the year is a stupid category. They need to get rid of it.
Well, the problem is that it's nothing but esports people, so it just needs to be like esports creator of the year. I mean, for crying out loud, like the only time I could actually say that there was a content creator in there was maybe Ninja, but Ninja's content was his streams, so therefore esports.
There's a best mobile game?
There is a best mobile game. Shall we go over it really quick?
Sure.
Where is it? Oh, here we go. Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. Not Final Fantasy VII. Honkai Star Rail. Hello Kitty Island. Okay, immediately I want Honkai Star Rail completely removed, because I'm sick and tired of hearing that title from every content creator I talk to. Or that I listen to. Hello Kitty Island Adventure. I want this to win just because of the South Park guys. Monster Hunter Now. I think this will probably, it's either going to be this or Ever Crisis, because I do know that Monster Hunter Now, the AR Monster Hunter game, has been doing fairly well.
Yeah, I played Monster Hunter Now for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was fun.
I might have to talk to you
really
about it, because I'm debating whether or not to get it, but my phone is pretty old, so I don't know if it's going to run it.
Here's the thing. So games like Monster Hunter always confused me. I never really fully understood how to play it because like of the gearing and weapon system. That's what ultimately confused me. But I go to play Monster Hunter Now, and for some reason, this game turned a switch on in my head, and I was like, oh my fucking god, that's how you play these damn games. So now I know how to play Monster Hunter.
That's kind of what happened with me. Like, I'd always had a feigning interest for Monster Hunter, and then I got my hands on World, and I enjoyed the hell out of it, so much so that I bought Rise, and Rise has basically made me a Monster Hunter fan. So much so that I've actually been playing the old games, because I just want to see like what's changed over the years.
Yeah, I don't have time to add another list to my backlog.
Right.
So,
but I'm the OCD mofo that will do that. So
right.
But yeah, if I hear anybody talking about Honkai Star Rail again, I might murder someone.
Well, I'm gonna go opposite here. I've never played it, but I want Honkai Star
Okay,
Rail
well, because of that, I want Hello Kitty Island Adventure. Just because I want Trey Parker and Matt Stone to accept the award.
Sure. It's just, I want Honkai because these awards, there's never any love for weeb games, so let's give our weeb
Monster Hunter would give you that love. Monster Hunter's a weeb game, whether or not people want to admit it.
It's not weeby enough.
It's not weeb enough? Okay, apparently there's a thermometer there now.
I don't know.
Adam, every time that I send you a text message now, it's going to be exclusively to start talking about Honkai Star Rail first before we get into anything else.
Okay, then I'll start.
How about that Honkai Star Rail?
I'll start sending all of.
Hey, Adam, have you downloaded Honkai Star Rail yet?
Actually, no.
And I'll just like. And then you know what? I'm just gonna be a total asshole and like share it with you.
But you want to know one game
through
you should be playing, Brinton? Raid Shadow Legends. Sorry.
Adam, I'm gonna share Honkai Star Rail with you through the Apple Store right now.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, it's the oh wait, never mind. I was about to misspeak.
So unfortunately, we've actually gone way over time here, so we probably better start wrapping things up. But yeah, it looks like the Game Awards are looking to be interesting. They're not really changing anything. But it will be interesting to see if Nintendo walks away with a lot of awards. I have a feeling they won't. Even though Jeff Keighley is a lover of Nintendo, I just don't see him doing it. I am like the award list is interesting. I am more interested in what reveals we might get. Specifically because I know that Jeff Keighley is friends with one Hideo Kojima. And so if we're going to get any announcement on, say, Death Stranding 2 or any developments on the Metal Gear movie, it's going to be through Jeff. Because Hideo and Jeff are like this. And by that, I mean really tight. So I'm interested in that, plus any other... And obviously, we'll cover the announcements, but anything that gets announced by Nintendo would be amazing. And a lot of the 2024 games, if they show up there, it'll be good too. Actually, do you want to know what should be winning Best Mobile Game, Brinton? I'm kind of surprised it didn't make it. Did you know that because of Mortal Kombat 1, NetherRealm put out a Raid Shadow Legends clone in the Mortal Kombat universe?
I would have never known.
And also, Street Fighter has an RPG that came out earlier. Why aren't they there? I need to look these up now. Oh
my gosh! Not after you look at Honkai Star Rail.
Honkai Star Rail is it amazing? Yes, I'm gonna send, like, every time you send me an advertisement, I'm gonna send you back another one of the YouTube content creators that's talking about Honkai Star Rail.
Please do.
And then we'll eventually bring this argument into the Discord server, and we can all just have fun with that. So
I think that sounds wonderful.
With that, let's go ahead and wrap things up. Alex, if people want to be able to reach out to you and tell you how wrong you are about the Game Awards, how do they do that?
Okay, come to my YouTube channel. Shadow Wizard 3000 is my channel. And I do have a review in the works, but I don't know when I'll finish it because I'm rewatching it, and it's work in progress.
Okay. And Brinton, aside from using me as an answering service, how do people reach out to you?
Don't.
I actually like how you did that. Just don't.
I'm just no. For some, I welcome all distractions.
Yes.
Especially from. Well, I mean, I'm probably going to get a 4.0 this semester somehow. Mm-hmm. But if you want to distract me from school, you can follow and reach out on Twitterman X. My handle is Chitore30.
Seriously, I need someone to take the Mega Man X box art, like the Mega Man X box art character, and just like put it in X colors and Twitter light blue, and then just paste in Elon Musk's face where X's face is, and there you go, Twitterman X. I just made a t-shirt that I will probably never ever sell. And
well, that's a shame.
And if you guys are interested in talking to me, you can do so on the YouTube channel. Obviously, like and subscribe. It helps out tremendously for my channel, as well as you can check out Alex as well on the added channels for there, so you guys can check out our content. You can also check out some of the new content that I have, including Questing with Drac, which is basically me bringing back the Tale of Drakfu, as well as WoW related content, but also I will be doing other MMOs and things like that, because I know that you guys have reached out saying, have you ever played this one? And so now you can do that, and maybe I'll actually get to it. So you can also support the podcast on all podcast platforms like Amazon Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Player.fm, and Spotify. You guys can check us out there, leave a review. We definitely appreciate that as well. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and leave things with a wonderful quote that was literally left on my Questing with Drac video from our buddy Rising Sun Reviews to end this video, or end this podcast. Are we ready? Remember, cookies are magic. And even if you forget the taste of a cookie, you will never forget the way the cookie made you feel. See you next time for December!